Chapter 2276. Don't fight first, someone is coming. Wan said helplessly. Although she was worried about Yang Ming, if she spoke now, she might be discovered. So, she said, send him a message, okay. Lang Gu nodded and quickly wrote a message to Yang Ming, telling him not to come and find them because the opponent was too strong and he wasn't a match for them. Although Lang Gu felt sorry for not letting Yang Ming come, he also knew that Wan was doing it for Yang Ming's sake. She didn't want to drag Yang Ming into this. Yang Ming was in the taxi when he received Lang Ji's message. He looked at the content and was slightly stunned. Lang Gu was very happy that he was going to help before. Why did he not let him go in the blink of an eye? Yang Ming then realized that Lang Gu was afraid that he wasn't a match for the people coming. Looking at the message in his hand, Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. If it was before Yang Ming went to Miaojiang to carry out the mission, he might not be a match for the people from the Dark Palace. But now, Yang Ming had the Super Gene Gang Gu and the incomplete version of the Vigor Gu. It could be said that even if the ancient sect Sky Class Masters came, they wouldn't be able to do anything to Yang Ming. Maybe Yang Ming couldn't do anything to them, but they definitely couldn't do anything to Yang Ming. This way, Yang Ming had a bargaining chip to talk and negotiate with them, so, Yang Ming wasn't ready to give up. He had promised Chu Huifang and Chu Sanhua, so he had to help them do this. In the abandoned junkyard, Chu Pengzhan, Wan, and Lang Gu heard the sound of the car stopping and the door opening and closing. They quickly stopped talking, looked at each other, and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The sound of footsteps could be clearly heard in the empty space of the land. Pengzhan and the others' hearts skipped a beat. Yi Wan, there's no need to hide. I can already feel the aura on your body. I know you're here. A cold voice rang out. This person was Elder Chui of the Dark Palace's Law Enforcement Hall. Although you sealed all of your true qi before you left, don't think that I won't be able to find you. You have the Dark Phoenix bloodline, which is unique to the Dark Palace. There's no point in hiding. That's right, Yi Wan, don't be so obstinate. If you get rid of the little vile spawn in your womb now and return with me, young sect master might let bygones be bygones and take you in as a concubine. The one who spoke was the 9th elder of the Heavenly Pill sect, another ancient sect that had a marriage agreement with Yi Wan, You can only obtain the Dark Phoenix bloodline inheritance from the Dark Knight Palace by taking our special bloodline preserving pill when you have a child with our young sect leader. Otherwise, if you delay the important matter in 20 years, you will be the sinner of the ancient sect for all eternity. The people from that place won't let you go either. Yi Wan's original engagement was to marry this Heavenly Dan sect's young sect master. The reason for marrying the Heavenly Dan sect's young sect master was because the Dark Knight Palace's Dark Phoenix bloodline in her body was not very pure. However, through a kind of pill, her future child could obtain a pure bloodline. However, the prerequisite was that the child's father must also be a cultivator. Moreover, this pill was priceless. The Heavenly Pill sect couldn't just give it to Yi Wan for free. This marriage agreement made the Heavenly Pill sect's young sect leader very satisfied. However, he didn't expect Yi Wan, to suddenly run away from the marriage. This wasn't just a matter of the Heavenly Pill sect's face, but also a matter of the important matter in the future. Although that place was looking for other inheritors, if Yi Wan, could obtain the inheritance, then they wouldn't have to spend so much effort to find others. However, when Yi Wan, left, she sealed her strength, causing trouble for the Dark Palace's search. Of course, this was also because of Elder Li, who was very close to Yi Wan, causing the search to be so slow. This gave Pengzhan and Yi Wan more time to interact. However, this time, it was because the Great Elder activated the Dark Palace's most valuable treasure, the Dark Phoenix Bloodline Guide Stone. After this treasure was used, it could point out the location of the person with the Dark Phoenix bloodline. This treasure was originally only used to find a new inheritor when the Dark Phoenix bloodline was lost. This was because every time this treasure was used, there needed to be at least 3 Sky-class late-phase peak masters to activate the pure chi in their body. Moreover, after activating this treasure, they wouldn't be able to return to their peak within a year. They could only stay at Sky Class late phase and would need to rest for a year before they could return to their peak again. Every time this treasure was used, they would need to wait for 20 years before they could activate it again. This was why the Dark Palace didn't activate this treasure to search for Yi Wan, in the beginning. After that, the Great Elder finally convinced Yi Wan, father, the current Dark Palace Master Yi Guxing, and the old Dark Palace Master, who was Yi Guxing's mother, Wan, grandmother, as well as a Sky Class late phase peak master from the Heavenly Dance School. The three of them activated their pure chi and activated the Dark Phoenix Bloodline Guide Stone. Only then did they find Yi Wan's specific location. After all, this was related to the Dark Palace's future status and that big event 20 years later. So, although Yi Guxing loved his daughter very much, for the sake of the Dark Palace and that big event, he had no choice but to agree to the Great Elder's suggestion. However, what he meant was for Yi Wan, to leave quietly after giving birth to the child. However, the Great Elder and the Heavenly Dance School's elder acted on their own accord and prepared to kill Pengzhan, this little bastard who made the Heavenly Dance School's young master a cuckold, and the little bastard in Yi Wan's stomach. Yi Wan was shocked. She didn't expect them to find her because of the Dark Phoenix bloodline in her body. So, they used that treasure. Thinking up to here, Yi Wan's heart sank. It seemed that she couldn't escape this time. That's right, Wan. The Heavenly Dance School's young master, the Heavenly Dance School's knowledge star, has already promised that as long as you abort this child and come back with us, although you can't be the main wife, you can still be the second wife. Elder Chui said. Although the palace master had told them to let Yi Wan, give birth to this child before returning, he was under the Great Elder's command and listened to him more. Plus, the Heavenly Dance School's ninth elder also said that this child couldn't be born. They had to use medicine to abort the child to ensure that the Dark Phoenix bloodline in Yi Wan's body was complete. Otherwise, a part of the Dark Phoenix bloodline would be taken away by the newborn child. Even if they returned to the Heavenly Dance School, the newborn child wouldn't be able to guarantee the purity of the bloodline. Chapter 2277. Of course, these words couldn't be said to Yi Guxing. Otherwise, Yi Guxing would feel bad for his daughter and might give up the big plan 20 years later. This was what the Grand Elder didn't want to see. She wanted to see the glory of the Dark Palace. What's wrong, Yi Wan, do you need me to catch you personally? The ninth elder saw that Yi Wan, didn't move and sneered, don't be so shameless. You think you're a good person? You're just a withered flower. Yi Wan sighed. She didn't expect that she couldn't escape in the end. Was she going to die here? Killing Pengzhan and aborting her child? Why not just kill her as well? Although she didn't know Pengzhan for long, their hearts were already tightly connected. It was impossible for her to remarry someone else. It was better for her to die. I'm afraid we can't escape. Yi Wan looked at Pengzhan and said sadly, without you, without the child, I'd rather die. Wan, don't worry. If worst comes to worst, I'll die with you. Pengzhan finally thought it through. He held Yi Wan's hand tightly and said gently, Wan, it's a blessing that we can go through life and death together. We're not their opponent, so there's no need to fight back. Yi Wan didn't expect Pengzhan to say these words. People said that husband and wife were birds in the same forest. They would fly away in the face of danger. However, Pengzhan still didn't leave and didn't want to push her out. Instead, he ran for his life. This was very commendable. Langge Jr., it's fine if the two of us go out. You don't need to be involved in our matters. Pengzhan looked at Langge Jr. and said seriously, you hide here and come out after we leave. Langge Jr. protected Pengzhan and Yi Wan, at first because he wanted to please Yang Ming. However, after interacting with Pengzhan and Yi Wan, the three of them became good friends. He also became best friends with Pengzhan. Langge Jr. was from a gang and valued loyalty. How could he agree at this time? No, I'll go out with you. We came together. If we're going to die, we'll die together. If we're going to live together, we'll live together. Who knows, we might still have a chance. You. Why are you doing this? Wan bitterly smiled and said, there definitely won't be a chance. You don't understand their strength. The three of us can't fight against them. Don't underestimate them because they only have a few people, but... Okay, it's a deal. Langge Jr. didn't wait for Yi Wan to say anything and took the lead to climb out of the trash heap. Huh? There was another person? Kid, did you lead them away? Elder Chui frowned. He didn't expect that there would be a third person in the garbage dump. Not bad. Langge Jr. nodded and said, I don't care where you are from, but I want to give you a piece of advice. This is Las Vegas, not your territory. It's best if you leave some leeway when you do things, or else you won't be able to deal with the encirclement of the three great gangs so easily. Oh? Are you threatening us? Elder Chui looked at Langge Jr. and found it funny. He didn't make a move in the downtown area because the ancient people wouldn't make a move on ordinary people if it wasn't necessary. Of course, Pengzhan couldn't be treated as an ordinary person. He was the enemy of the entire Dark Palace and Heavenly Elixir sect. That's right. As the saying goes, 2 fists can't fight against 4 hands. My street racer gang and a few gangs that are on good terms with us have more than 10,000 people. If you want to make a move, you better think about the consequences. Langge Jr. said. Consequences? Elder Chui smiled. He looked at Elder Jiu of Heavenly Elixir sect and asked faintly, do you think that 2 fists can't fight against 4 hands? 4 hands? Don't mention 4 hands, even 100 or 10,000 hands wouldn't matter, Elder Jiu said arrogantly. Don't move, you are surrounded. At this time, 2 large black trucks with the racing car logo stopped at the entrance of the junkyard. 30 to 40 big men with submachine guns jumped out of the trucks. 2 people came out of the front passenger seat of the trucks, carrying rocket launchers on their shoulders. These people were all Langge Sr.'s subordinates. This time, Langge Sr. had made up his mind to bring all the heavy weapons of the gang. Fortunately, this was the suburbs and there weren't many people, so there wouldn't be any problems. This is your trump card? Elder Chui looked at the men in black with disdain and asked faintly. At this moment, Pengzhan and Wan came out of the garbage dump hand in hand. Wan's face changed slightly when she saw Langge Sr.'s people. Although these people were holding weapons in their hands and looked very powerful, Wan knew that these weapons couldn't cause much damage to Elder Chui and Elder Jiu. Langge Jr., I appreciate your kindness. Now, take your people and leave, Wan said. Ancient sects don't attack ordinary people easily. Wan, you don't have to provoke me. Ancient sects don't attack ordinary people easily. It's not impossible for your friend to leave. It's just that he doesn't seem to believe it. He is very arrogant. Does he think that he can deal with us with these weapons? Elder Chui wasn't very interested in killing Langge Jr. if it wasn't necessary. He didn't want to have a conflict with the local gang. After all, they still had to take the plane back. This was other people's territory. If something happened to Langge Jr., they might not even be able to board the plane smoothly. Although they could also leave the country in other ways, it was now insignificant to let Langge Jr. go. No matter how fast you are, can you be faster than a bullet? Langge Jr. really didn't believe it, although the only thing that can't be defeated is speed. Can you be faster than a bullet? The only thing that can't be defeated is speed? Have you watched too many dramas? Elder Chui curled his lips in disdain and said, I don't need to be faster than a bullet. Even if you shoot me, I won't dodge. You can't do anything to me. Wan, tell him why. A normal bullet can't hurt a sky-class master with pure chi protection. Wan sighed and said, moreover, even if he wants to dodge, he can dodge it. His speed is indeed faster than a bullet. Langge Jr. was stunned. He didn't expect the enemy to be so strong. It seemed that he really underestimated the person in front of him. Chapter 2278. Alright, even if you can dodge bullets and aren't afraid of bullets, aren't you afraid of rocket launchers? Lang Gu said fiercely, rocket launchers and bullets are different. Hee, I admit that the rocket launcher can cause some damage to us, but when you launch the rocket launcher, I can dodge it in time. Elder Chui said lightly, guns have no eyes. I can dodge it, but I don't know if you guys can dodge it at such a close distance. Don't let us hurt you guys by accident. Lang Gu Jr.'s face changed slightly. It seemed that Elder Chui was more difficult to deal with than he thought. He wasn't scared at all. Indeed, Elder Chui was right. In such a situation, in such a small area, if they were to use the rocket launcher, they might accidentally injure their own people. The rocket launcher was actually used to scare people. It couldn't be used at such a close distance. He didn't expect Elder Chui to point it out so easily. This put Lang Gu Jr. in a dilemma. Lang Gu Jr., thank you for this. Peng Zhan said, this is between me and Wan, There's no need to drag you into this, yeah, Lang Gu Jr., take your people and leave first. I know them better than you. Wan said, if there's hope, I won't give up, but now. Sigh. Lang Gu Jr. actually knew that his efforts were useless now. The other party wasn't afraid of the weapons in their hands at all. It sounded like a joke. Who wasn't afraid of guns? However, the truth was in front of him. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Elder Chui waved his hand casually. The man in black closest to him didn't know what happened, but the submachine gun in his hand was in Elder Chui's hand. Elder Chui casually rubbed it twice and the submachine gun turned into a pile of scrap iron. He casually threw it at his feet. Everyone present, except for Wan, was shocked. Even Peng Zhan, who was mentally prepared, was shocked. Terrifying, it was simply too terrifying. The strength of these people was far beyond his expectations. Are you trying to scare a child? A cold voice sounded. The voice was filled with disdain and ridicule. The owner of this voice was naturally Yang Ming. Both Elder Chui and Elder Jiu were stunned. Their hearts were filled with shock. They turned around subconsciously and saw a young man about the same age as Chu Pengzhan and Wan, walking towards them calmly. However, the boy's expression and temperament were much more mature than Pengzhan and Wan's. He had the aura of a superior being. Of course, this wasn't the reason why they were shocked. The reason why they were shocked was that they actually didn't notice Yang Ming's arrival. Yang Ming was an assassin. Although he wasn't an internal martial artist, he practiced the butterfly micro-step, which was similar to external martial arts. It could be said that Yang Ming's Qin Gong had reached the peak. Even if the two of them were heaven stage masters, it was normal that they didn't notice Yang Ming's existence. Moreover, Yang Ming hadn't practiced the internal cultivation method that Sun Sikong and Imo Kongwen had given him. There was no fluctuation of true qi on his body. It was normal that these two couldn't sense him. However, Elder Chui and Elder Jiu felt that something was amiss. This person in front of them. Could he be a master? Because Yang Ming's appearance at this time was consistent with the aura of a master. However, they couldn't sense Yang Ming's existence. This made Elder Chui and Elder Jiu feel a little guilty. Either Yang Ming was an ordinary person, or Yang Ming was a master. However, this master was a little too young, wasn't he? Moreover, even if he was a master, he should have true qi fluctuations on his body, right? Who are you? Elder Chui asked subconsciously. Lang Gu Jr., you really didn't disappoint me. Under such circumstances, you still didn't give up. You are a loyal person. Yang Ming was very satisfied with Lang Gu Jr.'s performance and complimented him. Brother Yang. Lang Gu Jr. didn't expect that Yang Ming would still come even though he didn't let Yang Ming come. Wait a moment. After the things here are settled, I will give you some benefits. Yang Ming nodded to Langgu Jr. Chu Pengzhan and Wan looked at each other and saw a trace of a bitter smile in each other's eyes. Yang Ming came, but it seemed that Yang Ming was a little arrogant and didn't understand the situation. However, Chu Pengzhan and Wan naturally wouldn't laugh at Yang Ming. After all, Yang Ming came to help them, so they were grateful. However, they also wanted to find an opportunity to hint Yang Ming that the situation here wasn't very simple. It wasn't easy to solve. Solve? Do you think that the situation here can be solved easily? Elder Chui was amused by Yang Ming's big words. Yang Ming didn't have any intention to respond to him. He pretended not to hear his two questions in a row, which made Elder Chui a little angry. I'm talking to you. Who are you? Elder Chui asked sternly. Yang Ming still didn't have any intention to answer him. Step by step, he walked towards Chu Pengzhan and Wan. When he passed by the iron ball that Elder Chui had crumpled, Yang Ming didn't know if it was intentional or not, but he stepped on it. The iron ball was turned into a metal pancake by Yang Ming's foot. Yang Ming's footsteps didn't stop. He walked over as if he was walking on flat ground. Do you think that doing this gives you a sense of achievement? That you can show off how strong and awesome you are? Yang Ming walked to Chu Pengzhan's side and turned around to look at Elder Chui indifferently. You. Elder Chui looked at the iron ball that had turned into a metal pancake on the ground. His face changed slightly. What Yang Ming did was much more difficult than crumpling the iron ball into a metal pancake with both hands. Exerting force with both hands and stepping on it like Yang Ming was walking with only one foot. It was a completely different thing. Yang Ming was really walking. He didn't use any force, nor did he use any force to step on it. So, Yang Ming was completely relying on his hard feet and powerful strength to turn the iron ball into a metal pancake. There was no chance of him using any tricks. A physical master? Elder Jiu's face changed slightly. He didn't feel a trace of qi from Yang Ming's body. So, the only explanation he could think of was that Yang Ming wasn't a spiritual master. He was a physical master. Or maybe he was a physical master who specialized in leg techniques. However, from what he could see, Yang Ming's level was something that a mystic-class physical master could do. If it was someone who specialized in leg techniques, even a golden class would be able to do it. Chapter 2279. Of course, he didn't care about golden and mystic-class physical masters. His expression changed slightly. What was strange was that there was a practitioner here. Kid, this is Dark Palace and Heavenly Elixir Sect's territory. Which sect are you from? Don't cause trouble for the Dragon King Temple. Elder Chui looked at Yang Ming and asked. Since Yang Ming was a practitioner, he had to figure out Yang Ming's background. Although it seemed that Yang Ming's strength couldn't be too high, what if Yang Ming was a disciple of some ancient sect? If he hurt Yang Ming, his master would come and find him. It wouldn't be worth it to make an enemy out of Dark Palace and Heavenly Elixir Sect. You don't have to test me. I'm not from an ancient sect. Yang Ming said indifferently, I've never heard of Dark Palace or Heavenly Elixir Sect. I'm not interested in hearing about them. You better go back to where you came from. I don't have time to waste with you. I'm here for an important matter. I don't have time to play around with you. Good, very good. Elder Chui smiled coldly. He waved his hand and said, since you're so full of yourself, I'll send you on your way first. Since Yang Ming didn't belong to any sect, Elder Chui could kill him without any hesitation. He didn't want to kill Langgu Jr. because he didn't want to anger the local sects and bring trouble to his border. But now, a small physical practitioner came knocking on his door. Elder Chui was worried that he didn't have a place to show his power. He wanted to scare Langgu Jr. by killing Yang Ming so that he would retreat and leave with his people. As for Pengzhan and Wan, he naturally wanted to bring them back to the Grand Elder. Of course, although he had the power to kill Pengzhan, it would be too easy for him to just kill him like that. As soon as he finished speaking, Elder Chui attacked. He couldn't figure out Yang Ming's strength, so in order to kill him in one hit, he activated his inner chi and fully displayed his sky-class strength. A fierce aura broke out of his body and turned into a fire dragon. It circled around his right arm and he punched at Yang Ming. Fire Dragon Fist, 11th style. This was the martial skill of a heaven stage master. It was also the strongest martial skill that Elder Chui had mastered. His goal was to kill Yang Ming in one move. This person who appeared out of nowhere and challenged his authority, naturally, he couldn't let him live. However, Yang Ming didn't dodge. He just stood there as if he didn't put Elder Chui in his eyes. Or perhaps Elder Chui's speed was so fast that he didn't have time to react. In short, Elder Chui's punch landed on Yang Ming's chest and made a loud noise. Bang! Elder Chui's mouth curved into a smile. From his point of view, Yang Ming was definitely going to die. After all, even if Yang Ming was a sky-class early-stage master, he was still going to die if he took the attack without any preparation. Moreover, from Elder Chui's point of view, Yang Ming wasn't a sky-class master. At most, he was a mystic-class master. In Jianghu, the total number of sky-class masters was less than 3 digits. Elder Chui knew all of them. He could almost see Yang Ming vomiting blood and dying when he punched out. But the reality was too much for him to accept. This was because the scene that he imagined did not happen at this moment. Yang Ming did not fly out as he expected, nor did he bleed out. Instead, he stood there indifferently with a hint of sarcasm at the corner of his mouth. However, this was the last smile that Elder Chui saw in this world. He didn't have time to ask, nor did he have time to do anything else, before he heard a muffled sound. After that, he didn't know anything else. This was because his head had been blown up by Yang Ming's punch. Elder Chui was a sky-class master. In theory, if he used qi to protect his body, Yang Ming wouldn't be able to kill a sky-class early-stage master with just one punch, even if he used the simplified version of the Herculean voodoo. But Elder Chui didn't use qi to protect himself. All of his qi was concentrated in his right fist. He wanted to kill Yang Ming with one punch, so he used up all of his qi. He didn't think that Yang Ming would be able to counterattack after taking his punch, but now, he couldn't think about it anymore. All of this had become an unsolved mystery. Elder Chui died with his eyes wide open. What the hell? Yang Ming wiped the blood off his hands and kicked Elder Chui's body into the trash. A generation of Dark Knight Palace's law enforcement elder, an early-stage heaven-class master, was killed by Yang Ming with one punch. These people from the ancient sects, they all think they're so great and so arrogant. Previously, I met some ancient Feng family, and now there's Dark Knight Palace and Heavenly Pill sect. Sigh. Yang Ming killed Elder Chui with one punch. Chu Pengzhan and Lang Gu Jr. were so shocked that their jaws dropped. The 9th elder of the Heavenly Pill sect was also complaining in his heart. Where the hell did this guy come from? Someone who could kill a sky-class master with one punch couldn't be a nobody. But this guy was so young, and Elder Jiu had no impression of him at all. You? Who are you? Elder Jiu asked, his heart beating fast. I told you, I don't belong to any sect. I'm just here to protect Pengzhan and Wan. Yang Ming shrugged. Also, I've made it clear that I'm here to protect them. It's just on the way. I have more important things to do. But you guys just have to challenge my bottom line. I don't like to act cool anymore. I haven't been acting cool for many years, but you guys just have to cooperate with me. Ha ha ha. After Lang Gu Jr. heard Yang Ming's words, he suddenly laughed unscrupulously. He was Yang Ming's loyal follower. At first, he was worried that Yang Ming wouldn't be able to defeat Elder Chui and Elder Jiu, but Yang Ming killed them instantly. This made Lang Ji's blood boil. Ugh. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Elder Jiu looked at Elder Chui's horrible corpse. He was a sky-class master, just a little bit stronger than Elder Chui. He definitely wasn't Yang Ming's opponent. It was better to report this matter to the Grand Elder of the Dark Night Palace and let her decide. Leave? Did I say you could leave? Yang Ming looked at Elder Jiu mockingly and said coldly, "Why didn't you leave when I asked you to? Do you think you're trash? You think you can come and go as you please in the garbage dump?" Chapter 2280. Pfft. Ha ha ha. When Lang Gu Jr. heard Yang Ming mocking the ninth elder as trash, he laughed even harder. Before Yang Ming came, these two elders were so arrogant that they were almost smoking. They kneaded the submachine gun into an iron ball, but so what? Not only was the iron ball crushed by Yang Ming's foot, but he also blew up Elder Chui's head with one punch. Actually, I'm just here to be a bystander. The ninth elder was a little aggrieved. When had he ever been so aggrieved? But the world of cultivators was like this. There was no reason, but strength was reason. The strength shown by Yang Ming's punch scared him. Of course, this was not the end of it. What shocked him the most was that Yang Ming was unscathed under the full attack of Elder Chui's fire dragon fist. Was this possible? Even if it was a master of the Golden Bell Shield, it was impossible not to be injured under this punch. Unless the opponent was a master of the Golden Bell Shield at the peak of the late stage of the heaven rank. However, if Yang Ming was really a physical practitioner of the peak of the late stage of the heaven rank, then it would be troublesome. Only the supreme elder of the late stage of the heaven rank could be his opponent. Due to the fact that external cultivators only focused on body refinement, their overall strength was always lower than internal cultivators by a level. "You're here to be a bystander?" Yang Ming asked. "Just now. I didn't say anything. It was Elder Chui who said that he wanted to send you on your way." "I didn't say anything." The ninth elder said aggrievedly, "How about you just treat me as trash?" "No." Yang Ming said lightly, "You can avoid death, but you can't escape punishment. Break your own arms." "I." The ninth elder listened to Yang Ming's words and a trace of humiliation and anger flashed across his face. "Since you don't want to, then I'll help you. But if I do, I'm afraid you'll be accompanying Elder Chui." Yang Ming smiled slightly. Okay. I'll break my own arms." The ninth elder took a deep breath. Although he was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. He was unwilling because he saw with his own eyes how Yang Ming killed Elder Chui. Elder Chui's full-strength attack did not cause any damage to Yang Ming. Therefore, Elder Jiu assessed the pros and cons in his heart. If Yang Ming made a move, he would very likely follow in Elder Chui's footsteps and die here. Therefore, he had no choice but to agree and break his own arms. Kacha! Kacha! With two crisp sounds, the ninth elder did not hesitate in the slightest. He used his left hand to break the ninth elder's right hand, and then used half of his right arm to break the ninth elder's left arm. "Is it okay now?" Elder 9 was a bit regretful. This was a matter of the Dark Night Palace. Why the hell was he getting involved? "Now, my arm is broken, and I almost died here. Really, no matter what, I won't join in the fun next time." It was better to leave this matter to the Grand Elder. There was no need to provoke such a terrifying existence in front of him. "That's enough. Go back and report this to the person who's in charge this time. Ask him to come and talk to me. This matter needs to be resolved quickly." Yang Ming said to the ninth elder, "I kept you alive so that you could report to the leader. I didn't ask you to break your own legs because of this. So, don't let me down. Otherwise, I'll remember where you came from. Heavenly Elixir Sect? I can find you. Don't even think about running away. I'll pass your exact words to the Grand Elder of the Dark Night Palace. She's the leader of the team this time." The ninth elder sighed. Although Lin Fan's words were very harsh, he was not afraid that he would come to the Heavenly Elixir Sect. The Heavenly Elixir Sect was not to be trifled with. However, he didn't say that out loud. After all, the Heavenly Elixir sect didn't need to provoke such a strong enemy over such a small matter. He could tell that Yang Ming was a master in physical strength, a sky-class late-phase peak master. Unless the Heavenly Elixir sect was out of their minds, they would not provoke such a grand ancestor. "Oh, go," Yang Ming waved his hand and said impatiently. Elder Jiu glanced at Elder Chui's headless body in the garbage heap. He hesitated for a moment and decided not to bring it back. Instead, he got into a car at the entrance. There was obviously a driver in the car. There was no need for Elder Jiu, who had lost his hand, to drive. "Are you guys okay?" "Sorry, I'm a bit late, but I'm still on time." Yang Ming shrugged and looked at Pengzhan and Wan, with a smile. "This time, should I call you Chen Zai and Tao Lin Fang, or Chu Pengzhan and Wan Mr. Yang, I'm so sorry. Last time, we had no choice but to reveal our identities to you. We had our reasons, you know." Pengzhan smiled bitterly. "I didn't think that you'd help me and Wan so much last time, and this time, you'd help us again. I was entrusted by Godfather and Godmother to help you." Yang Ming smiled and said, "It's not a coincidence this time, oh?" Pengzhan paused. "Your godparents?" "It's Lu Weishan and Chu Huifang. They are your aunt and uncle," Yang Ming said. "I met your father before I came here." "So that's how it is." Pengzhan understood. "I was wondering why you rushed over after receiving the message. My father must have told you about the ancient sect. It looks like Mr. Yang has a plan in mind." "I can't say that I have a plan in mind, but these two people are a bit weak." Yang Ming shook his head. Elder Chui's fist hit Yang Ming, but Yang Ming didn't feel anything at all. This super version of the Jin Gang Gu was really invulnerable. The fire of the fire dragon fist didn't affect Yang Ming at all. "Mr. Yang, thank you so much. It seems that Wan underestimated your strength." Wan recovered from her shock. She was a bit happy, but she was also a bit worried. Yang Ming might have settled the trouble in front of him, but the leader this time was the Grand Elder. The real strong person was the Sky-class late-phase Grand Elder, not Elder Chui or Elder Jiu. "I don't know if Yang Ming can still deal with the Supreme Elder easily when he comes." Haha. Yang Ming smiled and didn't explain further. Wan wasn't underestimating him, but the strength that Yang Ming displayed last time couldn't be compared with the current one. Yang Ming went to Miaojiang, inherited Elder Yu's super version of the Jin Gang Gu, and took the simplified version of the Titan Gu. Naturally, his strength was different. "But, Mr. Yang, you killed Elder Chui. You have made a big enemy of the Dark Palace. I'm afraid this won't end well," Wan said worriedly. Chapter 2281. "Don't tell me that if I don't kill him, this matter will end well?" Yang Ming looked at Yi Wan without a care in the world and asked in return. "This?" Wan was slightly stunned. She immediately thought, that's right. Even if Yang Ming didn't kill, this matter definitely wouldn't end well. "It's just that, this way, you'll be implicated. Don't worry about me, they can't kill me," Yang Ming smiled and said lightly. If Elder Yu was so easy to deal with, Yang Ming wouldn't have been so helpless for so long. In the end, it was Dong Jun who gave him the quick cicada goo to solve the problem. Therefore, Yang Ming was still very confident about this Jin Gang Gu. "I really didn't expect that, Mr. Yang, you are still so brave. That person is so strong, but you are even stronger than him." Lang Gu Jr. was excited. "Yeah, I really didn't expect that you are the godson of my aunt and uncle." "Then, I will call you Brother Yang too," Pengzhan said excitedly. He never would have thought that things would turn out like this, that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. At first, he thought that there was no hope at all, but now, Yang Ming's appearance was like a god descending to earth. He showed his power and killed the high and mighty Elder Chui in one move. Elder Jiu of the Heavenly Elixir sect had no choice but to cut off his own arms and leave sullenly. However, Chu Pengzhan still couldn't believe it. He was afraid that this was a dream because from the crisis to the light, it was just too fast. It was just a moment, of course. Yang Ming nodded with a smile and looked at Wan. I really didn't expect that you are also from the ancient sections. However, I don't have a good impression of those ancient sects, but since you are married to Chu Pengzhan, then I will treat you as my sister-in-law. Thank you, Mr. Yang. Wan said gratefully. Although Yang Ming killed her sex elder in one move, if he didn't do anything, then the ones who would die now would be her and Chu Pengzhan. Perhaps Lang Gu Jr. would be implicated as well. Therefore, Wan clearly distinguished between kindness and hatred. She wouldn't blame Yang Ming. After all, she grew up in the Dark Knight Palace. Her father was the palace master of the Dark Knight Palace, and her grandmother was the old palace master. The Grand Elder was her grandmother's servant. Although the Grand Elder was too heartless, she was wholeheartedly devoted to the sect. In her eyes, the sect's benefits were greater than anything else. If her death could be exchanged for the sect's glory, then she would die without hesitation. Face, personal honor, none of that mattered. Therefore, for such a person, Wan really couldn't blame him. However, she couldn't ask Yang Ming to hold back. The Grand Elder would probably get the news and come quickly. If Yang Ming held back, then the ones who would die would be Yang Ming, Chu Pengzhan, Lang Gu Jr. and the child in her womb. Wan couldn't be more familiar with the Grand Elder's personality. Therefore, she was very conflicted in her heart at this moment. What if Yang Ming killed the Grand Elder with one punch like how he dealt with Elder Chui? Or rather, what if he and the Grand Elder were both injured? Thinking of this, Wan's expression was a little uncertain. Chu Pengzhan also saw that Wan's expression was a little abnormal. He also thought of something. Elder Chui and Elder Jiu who came just now were just two pawns. The one who led the team this time was the Grand Elder. It was said that the Grand Elder's strength was much stronger than Elder Chui and Elder Jiu. Elder Chui and Elder Jiu were only at the early peak of Sky Class, but the Grand Elder had reached the late phase of Sky Class. He was only one step away from the strongest peak of Sky Class in the world. With such a strong person, would Yang Ming be his opponent? You're still calling me Mr. Yang? Shouldn't you be like Chu Pengzhan and call me Big Bro Yang? Yang Ming said with a smile. Wan came back from her thoughts and looked at Yang Ming. She couldn't help but worry. At this time, Yang Ming also noticed that something was wrong with Pengzhan and Wan. Both of them were frowning as if they were worried about something. Seeing their expressions, Yang Ming quickly asked, "You? What's wrong? Are you worried about something?" Pengzhan smiled bitterly. However, Yang Ming wasn't an outsider. Since he was the adopted son of his aunt and uncle, he had to be honest. "Big Bro Yang, I'm a little worried. You're not a match for the Grand Elder. She's one of the strongest masters in the world." With that, he told his analysis to Yang Ming. After hearing it, Yang Ming nodded seriously. He didn't underestimate the enemy too much. Yang Ming now was basically equivalent to the existence of a bug. Although he wasn't the kind of formal internal master or external master, his own strength had already surpassed the highest realm of external masters. Even so, Yang Ming didn't think too highly of himself. After all, the ancient sect's fame wasn't a joke. There was a reason why ancient sects existed. If they could stand at the peak of Wulin, it meant that they were very strong themselves. The Grand Elder, on the other hand, was one of the strongest people in the world. How could Yang Ming underestimate the enemy? Yang Ming's underestimation of the enemy was just a show for Elder Chui and the Ninth Elder. He wanted to put pressure on them. To be exact, it was mostly a show for the Ninth Elder of the Heavenly Dan sect. When the Ninth Elder was prepared, it was unknown whether Yang Ming could kill him in one move. After all, Yang Ming only used the simplified version of the Herculean voodoo, not the full version. Yang Ming's defense was very strong. When Elder Chui attacked, he didn't feel anything. When Elder Chui wasn't prepared, it was pure luck that he killed Elder Chui with one punch. However, the ninth elder was on guard. If he just defended and didn't attack, Yang Ming would be exposed. Yang Ming wasn't sure whether Yang Ming could do anything to him. Thinking of this, Yang Ming couldn't help but sigh. If Lin Dongfang was here, it would be great. With one attacking and one defending, if they cooperated well, they wouldn't be able to sweep Wulin. These old guys from the ancient sects would probably turn around and run when they saw them. Lin Dongfang was very strong and invincible. He was invincible and invincible. Yang Ming's body was as strong as iron. He was invulnerable. When the two of them were together, they were like a bug in Wulin. When you attacked, Yang Ming would defend, and when you were done, Lin Dongfang would attack. No matter how strong the master was, they would be killed in seconds. However, without Lin Dongfang, no matter how strong the bug was, it would only be half a bug. Chapter 2282. That was why Yang Ming pretended to be arrogant and underestimated his opponent, scaring Elder Jiao into breaking his own arms. At the very least, he had successfully crippled one of Elder Jiao's henchmen. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about Elder Jiao harming Chu Pengzhan and Wan during his battle with Elder Jiao. It had to be said that Yang Ming was quite a devious person. In terms of acting cool and pretentious, he had already reached the level of perfection. I understand. Yang Ming didn't want to boast in front of his own people. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. I know you're worried. Actually, I'm worried about the same thing. Chu Pengzhan and Wan were obviously stunned after hearing Yang Ming's words. It's like this. Actually, with my strength, in the eyes of you Wulin people, I should be considered a master of physical style. Yang Ming explained. Master of physical style? Wan was stunned. You're a sky-class late-phase peak physical style master? You can think of it that way, but to be more precise, I'm a master of the Golden Shield. Yang Ming said. A large success Golden Bell Shield. Wan suddenly understood and nodded her head, saying, no wonder when Elder Chui's fist landed on your body, you weren't on guard, yet nothing happened. So it was because of this. That's right. To put it bluntly, it's high defense and low attack. Yang Ming nodded. I was able to kill Elder Chui because he wasn't on guard, so I killed him. But for Elder Jiao, I couldn't do anything to him when he was fully on guard. That's why I pretended to look down on the enemy and made him break his own arms. This can be considered as helping you get rid of an obstacle. Otherwise, when Elder Jiao comes later, I'm really afraid that he'll be in the way and hurt you, so that's how it is. Chu Pengzhan and Wan let out a sigh of relief after hearing Yang Ming's words. Yang Ming was brave and smart. He really wouldn't underestimate the enemy. But, after hearing Yang Ming's uncertain words, they were a little hesitant. Could Yang Ming really fight against the elder on the stage? If Yang Ming was a master of the Golden Shield, then one thing was for sure. Even if the elder came, he wouldn't be able to do anything to Yang Ming, but Yang Ming might not be able to do anything to the elder. The result of the battle between the two would be a draw. However, if Yang Ming couldn't do anything to the Grand Elder, but the Grand Elder could do something to Pengzhan and Wan, how could the two not be worried? Young bro, later on. Just do your best. Pengzhan didn't want to burden Yang Ming too much, so he tried to persuade him. I'll do my best, Yang Ming said. But, Yang Ming started to plan in his heart. In the past, Yang Ming did things with a rush and ruthlessness. But, after the Miaojiang trip, Yang Ming knew the importance of planning and then acting. Take Elder Yu's case as an example. Planning and then acting was very important. So, this time, Yang Ming wouldn't be reckless. What if he couldn't defeat the elder? Even if he could defeat the elder, how could he do it once and for all? One had to know that although the Supreme Elder was one of the top experts in their sect, she wasn't the most powerful. There were probably some experts who were more powerful than her. What if these experts continuously came to cause trouble? What would they do? Yang Ming was fine. The key problem was Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er. No matter how many people came, Yang Ming was confident that these people wouldn't do anything to him. But, what if they secretly attacked Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er? Yang Ming's main mission in Las Vegas this time was to help Dong Jun deal with Dr. Benjamin. It wasn't to deal with the two ancient sects, Dark Palace and Heavenly Pills sect. If he couldn't do it once and for all, Yang Ming could only stay by Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er's side. This way, it would definitely affect Dong Jun's plan to deal with Dr. Benjamin. The time would have to be delayed. Moreover, if Dr. Benjamin was fully prepared, Yang Ming would have a hard time making a move. But, if he had Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er by his side, then Yang Ming would have a headache. Yang Ming could protect himself with Dr. Benjamin, but protecting Dong Jun was already very difficult. If Dr. Benjamin took the opportunity to accidentally hurt Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er, then Yang Ming would be depressed to death. It seemed that if he couldn't do it, then he could only act shamelessly. Yang Ming sighed. Although his strength was very strong, he still couldn't guarantee the safety of the people around him. It seemed that he had to hurry up with the cultivation of the women around him. Also, he should ask Wang Xiaoyan to teach them some kung fu. Of course, these things would have to wait until he went back to Island X. The most important thing now was to solve the problem of Chu Pengzhan and Dong Jun. Langu Jr., you did a good job this time, but let your people go back. They can't do anything if they stay here, Yang Ming said to Langu Jr. Okay. Langu Jr. also knew that the elites under his father's command had no problem dealing with ordinary gang members, but it was impossible to deal with these woolly masters. So, Langu Jr. waved his hand, indicating that these people could leave. Young leader, you're not leaving together? Among these people, the leader asked Langu Jr., I'm not going back. There's no problem with Mr. Yang protecting me here. Langu Jr. said, moreover, Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er are my friends. It's not right for me to leave just like that. Langu Jr., I understand your thoughts. You should go back too, Yang Ming glanced at Langu Jr. and said. No need, I'll stay here. Langu Jr. smiled bitterly and said, I don't have many true friends in my life, and there aren't many people I admire. I want to stay here and fight side by side with you. Okay, then you can accompany Chu Pengzhan and Wan, Yang Ming said, don't fight later. Okay, I understand. Langu Jr. said quickly. The leader saw that Langu Jr. was determined, so he didn't try to persuade him anymore. He left the junkyard with his people. Langu Jr. stood firmly beside Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er. Is your lower body better? Yang Ming turned to look at Langu Jr. and asked suddenly. Langu Jr. was stunned by Yang Ming's question, but then he said embarrassedly, I've seen many doctors, but I'm afraid it's useless. Chapter 2283. The people here were all familiar with each other. Needless to say, Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er knew about Langu Jr.'s situation. Yang Ming was the person who crippled Langu Jr., so Langu Jr. told the truth in front of them. You did well this time. I have a way to help you recover. Yang Ming said to Langu Jr. If it was before, Yang Ming naturally wouldn't make any guarantees. However, Yang Ming had received Lin Dongfang's medical skills. Moreover, he had just used his X-ray vision to check Langu Jr. and found that this guy's injury had been fixed by surgery in the hospital. The problem now was mainly a neurological problem. It was actually similar to Shin Yushi's problem. It was just that the location was different. Shin Yushi's was the leg while Langu Jr.'s was the lower body. This kind of neurological problem was actually the most complicated and headache-inducing problem. Even if little Lang Ji's family was rich and powerful here, they had seen countless doctors, but they were helpless. However, it didn't mean that Yang Ming couldn't do anything about it. With the experience of treating Shin Yushi, it was basically a sure thing for Yang Ming to let Langu Jr. recover and regain his masculinity. That was why Yang Ming made this promise to Langu Jr. of course, he also saw that Lang Gu Jr. was really sincere in helping Chu Pengzhan and Wan Er. Since this person sincerely repented, then Yang Ming didn't mind giving him a chance. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Lang Gu Jr. was dumbfounded. He never thought that there would be a day when he could recover. Since he was crippled, his father, Lang Gu Sr., kept looking for women every night. However, he was old and his energy was not enough. He worked hard for a long time, but there was no result. In the end, he went to the hospital for a checkup and found that there was a problem with his body. The probability of giving birth was relatively small. Even if he gave birth, the child's health would be affected, so Lang Gu Sr. had to give up. Therefore, it could be said that the Lang Gu family had given up now. However, Yang Ming's words suddenly rekindled Lang Gu Jr.'s cold heart. Really? Brother Yang, I can still recover? Lang Gu Jr. looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. I have a certain amount of confidence. Yang Ming said, but we have to solve the problem in front of us first. Thank you, Brother Yang. Lang Gu Jr. was extremely excited. He didn't expect that his misfortune would be a blessing in disguise. Originally, he was prepared to die and fight with Pengzhan and Wan Er until the end. However, Yang Ming suddenly appeared and helped them solve the problem. Not only that, Lang Gu Jr.'s persistence also allowed him to gain Yang Ming's trust. Although Yang Ming said that he could heal his injuries, Lang Gu Jr. still couldn't believe it. After all, too many doctors had already examined him and said that there was no hope. What could Yang Ming do? However, this was the only way. Lang Gu Jr. had no other way. He could only listen to Yang Ming. If Yang Ming had a way to heal him, it would be a great surprise. In his heart, he didn't have the slightest dissatisfaction about being crippled by Yang Ming. After all, he didn't do the right thing in the beginning. He wanted to touch Wan Er. Now that he thought about it, if he really dared to touch her, it wouldn't be as simple as being crippled. If Yang Ming didn't cripple him first and he didn't do anything, then the elders of the Heavenly Dan sect and the Dark Knight Palace would have picked up the butcher's knife and aimed at the Lang Gu family and the street racer gang, making them completely disappear from the earth. How could the people of the ancient sects be so easy to talk to? Therefore, he had to thank Yang Ming for stopping him from making a big mistake. At least he was still alive now. It was better to be alive than to die. Moreover, there was another turning point in this matter. Although Lang Gu Jr. was extremely excited, Yang Ming still saw a trace of uncertainty and worry in his eyes. He smiled slightly and said, if I'm not wrong, you should have a problem with your nerves, right? Brother Yang, how did you know? Lang Gu Jr. was stunned. Yang Ming hadn't examined him yet, but he actually said that he could tell the root cause of his illness. How could Lang Gu Jr. not be surprised? One must know that Yang Ming just said it casually. Although this injury was done well by Yang Ming, who could control the situation of this injury? If Yang Ming's kick could destroy a person's nerves, then it would be amazing. Even a martial arts master wouldn't be able to control it, right? Moreover, the hospital that Lang Gu Jr. went to for medical treatment suggested that he have it removed. Lang Gu Sr. brought him to many famous doctors to keep it, but there was no hope for a cure. It could only be used as a decoration. Originally, when Yang Ming said that he could be cured, Lang Gu Jr. was just happy, but he didn't have too much hope. After all, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. During this period, he had experienced too much hope and disappointment. These ups and downs had made his mentality a little numb. Every time he found a big international hospital, they would say that there was a chance, but after seeing it, they would give up helplessly. This made Lang Gu Jr. mentally prepared. However, Yang Ming's words revealed his secret and the root cause of his illness. This made his heart move suddenly. In this case, Yang Ming might really have a way. Previously, I just cured a patient with a nerve problem. However, the location is different from yours, but I have some confidence. Yang Ming said, her leg was basically sentenced to death, but now she can stand up properly. Really? That's great. Langge Jr. was ecstatic. After this is over, I'll have to trouble Brother Yang. Don't worry, someone is coming. Let's deal with the matter in front of us first. Yang Ming looked at the direction not far away and said lightly. Someone is coming? Not only was Langge Jr. stunned, but even Chu Pengzhan and Wan were stunned. Outside the huge garbage dump, it was empty. There was no one and no cars passing by. Why did Yang Ming say that someone was coming? Yang Ming saw their strange expressions and smiled faintly. Naturally, he wouldn't tell them that he had X-ray vision and telescopic vision and could see the situation in the distance. He only ordered, Langge Shao, take Chu Pengzhan and Wan and hide behind. Leave this to me. Yes, Brother Yang. Although Langge Jr. was puzzled, he still nodded and agreed. He took Chu Pengzhan and Wan to the garbage dump not far behind Yang Ming. It was all abandoned car parts. It wasn't very dirty, but it was a little messy. Chapter 2284. Yang Ming stared at the direction not far away and frowned slightly. Yang Ming didn't put the previous two elders in his eyes, but this old woman who came now seemed to be a little capable. The old woman in Yang Ming's eyes was the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace that Elder Jiao and Elder Chui were talking about. The Grand Elder was now a Heaven rank late stage expert, and her strength was at the peak of the Heaven realm late stage. She was only half a step away from the peak of the Heaven rank. According to Feng Tianlong, in the cultivation world, the peak of the late stage of the Heaven realm was already the top level of strength. So although Yang Ming was confident, he did not blindly underestimate the enemy. The ninth elder was shocked and horrified. He did not expect that Yuan, that bitch, actually knew such a powerful master. Yang Ming's body did not fluctuate with qi, and when he made a move, he did not mobilize or use the surrounding aura. What kind of master was this? Could it be that he was a master of external martial arts? Thinking of this possibility, the ninth elder's heart suddenly trembled. External martial arts masters, although they were not put in the eyes of internal martial arts masters, external martial arts masters of the same level were almost weaker than internal martial arts masters of the same level. But there were exceptions to everything. For example, there were a few sects that practiced external martial arts such as Golden Bell Shield, Iron Shirt, Iron Fist, Iron Hand, Divine Fist, and so on. These were all existences that the internal martial arts sects were not willing to easily provoke. And the masters of external martial arts sects such as Divine Fist Palace and Tai E Hall were existences that the internal martial arts sects did not dare to provoke. The peak of the late stage of the Heaven realm, especially the peak of the late stage of the Heaven realm, were not existences to provoke. Could it be that Yuan-er's lover knew the people of Divine Fist Palace or Tai E Hall? That seemingly very young master was a master of external martial arts from Tai E Hall, a peak of the late stage of the Heaven realm? It was not that there were no masters who reached the peak of the late stage of the Heaven realm around the age of 20, but they were all from the super ancient sects, such as the Ice Palace and Snow Valley, these two branches from that place, and the everyday sect that gave the major sects a headache. In these ancient sects, there were precedents of peak of the late stage of the Heaven realm around the age of 20. However, the Dark Knight Palace and the Heavenly Elixir sect were not. These two sects could only be considered second-rate sects among the ancient sects in the current Jianghu. Hence, if they were really from Tai E Hall, then the Dark Knight Palace and the Heavenly Elixir sect could only choose to retreat. The Heavenly Elixir sect is about to become a first-rate sect in the Jianghu. However, the glory of a sect was not something that could be achieved by the efforts of one generation. It required an opportunity and the unremitting efforts of the successor. Now that there was an opportunity, it all depended on the young sect leader. The ninth elder was actually an ambitious person. He was also a person with no selfish motives. He was essentially the same as the Grand Elder. He hoped that his own sect would be glorious. The car drove back to the hotel where they were temporarily staying. The seventh elder quickly got out of the car and ran upstairs through the emergency exit, ignoring the strange gazes of the people around him. His hands were already crippled, so he couldn't press the elevator button. He had no choice but to do this. However, for cultivators, tens of flights of stairs were a piece of cake. After the seventh elder went upstairs, he came to the door of the Great Supreme Elder's room and knocked twice with his foot. The Great Supreme Elder's voice came from inside, "You're back. Come in, the door isn't locked." Patriarch 7 kicked open the door and walked in. Patriarch 7 did not notice anything strange about him, but he was a little confused when he did not see Patriarch Chui. "Have you caught all of them? What about Elder Chui and Wan? Why didn't they come together?" "Patriarch 7, please help me in the seventh elder." The ninth elder said with a sad face, "Patriarch Chui is dead." "What? What did you say?" The Great Supreme Elder was stunned, as if he did not hear the ninth elder's words clearly. "What did you say just now? What happened to Patriarch Chui?" "Patriarch Chui is dead." The ninth elder said with grief and indignation, "Wan, that little bitch." Speaking up to hear, the ninth elder saw the Great Supreme Elder's unhappy face and immediately shut up. He just remembered that Wan, was the big miss of the Dark Knight Palace. If he said that, it would be strange if the Great Supreme Elder's face was good. However, the ninth elder was smart and quickly changed his words. "It's that little bitch's father in Wan's stomach. I don't know where he got an expert from, but he seems to be an external expert. He's very strong and killed Patriarch Chui. He even crippled my arms. If I didn't come back to tip you off and let you die, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to come back." The ninth elder's words were half true and half false. Although there were elements of adding fuel to the fire, there was nothing wrong with it. It was basically the truth, but he was too embarrassed to say that he broke his own arms, so he blamed it on Yang Ming. As for letting the Great Supreme Elder die, it wasn't Yang Ming who said it. However, Yang Ming did mean that, but the ninth elder said it out loud. The Great Supreme Elder wasn't unhappy that the Great Supreme Elder insulted the child in Wan's stomach as a little bitch. In her eyes, a child born from messing around with a normal person was a little bitch. She wanted to kill it anyway, so she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. However, the opponent's arrogance made the Great Supreme Elder frown. Patriarch Chui was killed? One had to know that Elder Chui was an early-stage heaven class. Although this level of strength wasn't considered the best in the ancient sects, it was at least in the top ranks. He wasn't someone that could be killed just because someone wanted to. Moreover, what confused her the most was, where did Pengzhan get this friend from? He was actually such a strong external expert. How old is that external expert? What kind of martial arts does he use? Do you know him? The Great Supreme Elder was angry and heartbroken, but he still asked. After all, knowing the enemy in yourself was the key to victory. The enemy's appearance was too strange, and the Great Supreme Elder had to figure it out. An external expert who could kill Elder Chui and injure Elder Jiu, his strength was not weak at all. Chapter 2285. He had to be at least a physical master above the middle stage of Heaven stage. Physical masters above the Heaven stage could be counted on one hand in the cultivation world. There were even fewer people above the middle stage of Heaven stage, so the elder wanted to confirm what this person's background was. Elder, that person is very young, about 20 years old, about the same age as Yi Wan, and Chu Pengzhan. The ninth elder said, he should be good at defense and attack skills. Defense and attack? He knows both of them? The Grand Supreme Elder was stunned. He took Elder Chui's attack head-on, and then smashed Elder Chui's head with a single punch. Ninth Elder smiled bitterly. It all happened in an instant. The two of them only used one move each. There's no way to judge anything else. What? You said he took Elder Chui's attack and then killed him? The elder's eyes widened in disbelief. Although Elder Chui was an early-stage Heaven stage master, it was impossible for a peak late-stage Heaven stage master to be unharmed after taking his attack head-on. And for a physical master to be able to do this, unless he practiced Golden Bell Shield, Iron Mantle, or other extremely high defensive skills. However, he also blew Elder Chui's head with one punch. Could this be related to the Holy Fist Palace? For a moment, the elder couldn't help but frown. A 20-year-old physical master, it was very likely that he was at the peak of the late phase of heaven class, the strength of a supreme being, but the Grand Elder didn't have any impression of such a strong physical master. Who on earth was it? That's right, he killed Elder Chui. The ninth elder said with grief and indignation, I'm not his opponent, please help me. All right, come with me. The Supreme Elder said with a dignified expression. The car was still the same commercial car as before, and it returned. Yang Ming had already begun to observe the old woman in the car until she got off and walked over. Yang Ming's eyes were always on her face. As for the ninth elder, Yang Ming automatically ignored him. This kind of coward wasn't worth mentioning. Now that his arm was broken, he couldn't do anything. Although it could be seen that his arm was still immobile, it had been connected, but Yang Ming didn't care. He looked at the Supreme Elder and asked, You are the Supreme Elder who thinks you are awesome, right? Which sect are you from? Why are you involved in this mess? Although the elder saw Yang Ming's arrogance, he wasn't angry because of it. He did have the strength to be arrogant. He pointed at Elder Chui's body on the ground. You interfered with my Dark Palace's business for no reason. Even if you have a strong background, I'm afraid you'll have to give me an explanation for this matter, right? You killed our law-enforcing elder. Do you really think you can do whatever you want? That ninth elder, didn't you tell this old woman that I don't have any background? Yang Ming waited for the elder to finish, then looked at the ninth elder and asked. The ninth elder was stunned. Yang Ming did say something similar, but he thought that Yang Ming didn't want to reveal his background, so he deliberately hid it, so he didn't tell the elder. Do you think that by hiding your identity, I won't be able to find out your background? The elder snorted, Tai E Hall or Holy Fist Palace? Which sect are you a proud disciple of? Old woman, I told you, I don't have a background. If you want to do it quickly, don't talk about it here. Yang Ming knew that the elder was testing him, but Yang Ming didn't need to rely on any background at all. Good, very good. Since this is what you said, you can be a witness, ninth elder. The elder smiled. Although Yang Ming was a very powerful external expert, she wasn't weak either. She already had the intention to kill Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't reveal his identity, which was the best. It was in line with the elder's intention. If Yang Ming was really a disciple of Holy Fist Palace or Tai E Hall, it would be difficult for her to do it. Now that Yang Ming said he wasn't, then she would just take it that he wasn't. Anyway, those who didn't know wouldn't be blamed, and the ninth elder could testify. Yes, I also heard this kid say that he doesn't have any background. The ninth elder couldn't wait for Yang Ming to die, so he was happy to testify. If so, then you stay here and pay for Elder Chui's life. The elder's eyes flashed a fierce murderous intent. Her hand moved, and a red silk wrapped in a thick golden true chi flew towards Yang Ming. This red silk was the weapon of the elder. Once she made a move, she naturally wouldn't hold back. She directly wanted to take Yang Ming's life. For this move, she used her strongest move and strength. She didn't leave any leeway for Yang Ming. The red silk wrapped in golden true chi was like a fire phoenix, rushing towards Yang Ming. The strong power and true chi fluctuation made the ninth elder have to retreat far away to avoid the sharp edge. Yi Wan, who was in the distance, was even more frightened at this moment. She didn't expect that the elder would use her strongest move to take Yang Ming's life. However, just as everyone was nervous and depressed, a lazy voice sounded, "What is this thing?" Following the sound of this voice, the pressure and true chi fluctuation also disappeared in an instant. Whether it was the ninth elder or Yi Wan, they all opened their mouths wide in shock. Including the elder herself, they all looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. The red silk weapon that she was so proud of was actually casually grabbed by Yang Ming in his hand. It was as if the pressure and strong power from before didn't exist to Yang Ming. Yang Ming casually pulled, and the red silk pulled the elder forward and staggered. This scene made everyone present even more dumbfounded. The elder even more bitterly and shockingly thought of a frightening possibility. Golden Bell Shield or Iron Mantle large success. Legend had it that the person who mastered these two elements would be invulnerable to swords, spears, and water and fire. My red silk had the ferocity of the metal element and the scorching flame of the fire element, but it couldn't hurt Yang Ming at all. This was clearly a Vajra physique that was invulnerable to swords, spears, and water and fire. However, the elder didn't give up. She took advantage of the red silk being pulled forward, and quickly moved forward, slapping a palm on Yang Ming's chest. She wanted to probe Yang Ming's true strength. Pung! A loud crash was heard all of a sudden. Chapter 2286. The palm landed solidly on Yang Ming's body, but Yang Ming's face was calm as if he wasn't affected at all. Just when the Supreme Elder was stunned, Yang Ming quickly threw a punch at the head of the Supreme Elder on the stage. No. Wan didn't have any feelings for Elder Chui. She was just an ugly lackey, so she didn't care if she died. But Wan didn't want anything to happen to the elder. Although the elder was mean and wanted to kill Pengzhan and the child in her stomach, and bring her back to the Dark Palace, she didn't have any selfish intentions. However, the Grand Elder didn't have any selfish motives. Everything she did was for the good of the Dark Palace, so Wan didn't say anything. Of course, although Yang Ming heard Wan cry, he didn't stop his punches. This was because Yang Ming knew that this old woman was different from that trash, Elder Chui. This old woman had some ability and wouldn't be killed by one punch. At most, he would give her a concussion when she wasn't prepared. Moreover, the elder was prepared in the next moment. Yang Ming wouldn't be able to hurt her even if he had a concussion. Bang! But, although the elder was prepared, she was still hit by Yang Ming's punch. There was no other reason, it was because she was too close to Yang Ming. She couldn't dodge, so she could only take it head-on. But even so, the elder's head was still buzzing from Yang Ming's punches. Obviously, she was injured to a certain extent. Although it wasn't too serious, to be able to penetrate her chi protection and hit her, this fist technique wasn't normal. Elder Chui didn't die in vain. He didn't have such a strong true energy to protect his body. Even if he was prepared, he would definitely die within 5 punches if he didn't die after 1 punch. A strong sense of fear and dread rose in the elder's heart. Too strong. Not only was this person's defense strong, but his attack wasn't weak either. This kind of monstrous level existence was simply invincible. Even if a peak late phase heaven class master came, he wouldn't be able to hurt Yang Ming, but he definitely wouldn't be able to do anything to him. At this moment, Yang Ming's appearance overturned the Grand Elder's previous understanding of external sect cultivators. As far as she knew, physical masters of the same level would always be weaker than spiritual masters of the same level. For example, a peak late-stage heaven-class physical master would always be weaker than a peak late-stage heaven-class spiritual master. This was also the reason why she followed Elder Jiu to ask for an explanation for Elder Chui. She was already an inner force master at the late stage of heaven rank. In her opinion, Yang Ming was at most on par with her, or even worse. This was because outer force masters were tough at the beginning, but because they didn't have enough true chi in their body, they couldn't sustain their true chi. Inner force masters had endless true chi. If the two of them continued to fight, the one who would eventually be defeated would definitely be the outer force master. In the past, it wasn't that the Grand Elder had never met an outer force master. For example, the master of Holy Fist Palace did have the power to split mountains and seas, but as long as she avoided the sharp edge, found his flaws, and consumed his physical strength, she could finally defeat him in the end. Therefore, the Grand Elder wasn't afraid of Yang Ming at all. Although she valued him, it was definitely not to the extent of fear. However, the current Yang Ming couldn't be killed at all. This kind of outer force master was simply a nightmare for an inner force master. It wasn't until this moment that the Grand Elder truly understood a truth. The road of martial arts was ever-changing, but the changes were still the same. All roads lead to Rome. Outer force cultivators, when they cultivated to the extreme, could also become invincible masters in the world. Now, the Grand Elder dared to say that even if Yang Ming faced an inner force master at the peak of heaven rank, it would only be a tie. After reaching the extreme, the gap between the outer force and the inner force was really very small and negligible. Even, depending on the person who cultivated, the outer force might be better than the inner force. This discovery made the Grand Elder's previous cognition directly collapse. "Boy, where did you come from?" The Grand Elder's voice was very hoarse. Obviously, she couldn't accept the fact in front of her. "I've said it several times, I don't have a background." Yang Ming said lightly, "If you have to ask me where I came from, I can only tell you that I was once from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau." "What? Supernatural Investigation Bureau? When did such an expert come?" The Supreme Elder furrowed his brows. However, she was vigilant in her heart. Just now, her true chi was used to hit Yang Ming's palm, so the defensive true chi allocated to her head was relatively small. Now, she was still a little buzzing from Yang Ming's punch. She had now mobilized all of her true chi to protect her body. In this way, Yang Ming would definitely not be able to hurt her. Don't worry about whether there is such an expert or not. What's the point of studying this? I asked you to come here to solve this problem. Yang Ming said lightly, "Chu Pengzhan and Yi Wan, are my friends. As long as you say the word, will you let them go or not?" "Boy, are you threatening me?" The Grand Elder was a little sullen, but he still snorted coldly. "I'm discussing with you," Yang Ming said lightly. That punch just now also tested the Grand Elder's strength. He could definitely hurt the Grand Elder if she wasn't on guard, but if she was on guard, it would be difficult. However, the Ninth Elder wasn't that difficult. Compared to the Grand Elder, even if the Ninth Elder was on guard, Yang Ming should be able to cripple him with a few punches. After all, the Vigor Goo wasn't just for show. No matter how simplified and weak the simplified version of the Vigor Goo was, it was still a Vigor Goo. "Boy, I admit that your strength is not bad. I can't touch you, but in our Dark Palace and the Heavenly Dan sect, there are countless experts at my level. There are even a few who are stronger than me. Do you think that you can still interfere in this?" The Grand Elder could only start to threaten Yang Ming. "Oh, then you can let them come. I'll let you all beat me up together. Let's see what you can do to me," Yang Ming said indifferently. "Beat him up together." The Grand Elder's mouth twitched. This boy was really confident. However, when he thought about how his two attacks didn't have any effect on Yang Ming, the Grand Elder knew that even if a few more people came, they still wouldn't be able to do anything to him. This guy wasn't a normal person. He couldn't be measured with common sense. Numbers wouldn't do anything to him. Chapter 2287. Alright, let's not talk about these useless things. I must protect these two people today. It's up to you to let them go. Yang Ming said arrogantly. Let them go? The Grand Elder took a deep breath. Today, I can't do anything to you, but you can't do anything to me either, right? Can you kill me? No. Oh, what do you want to say? Continue. Yang Ming raised his hand and signaled for the Grand Elder to continue. If that's the case, you can protect them today, but can you protect them forever? Unless you're always by their side, otherwise, hee. Although the Grand Elder didn't continue, his meaning was self-evident. The Grand Elder's words made Pengzhan, Wan, and Lang Ji's face change slightly. They saw that things were going in a good direction, but they didn't expect the Grand Elder to say something like this. Yes, Yang Ming could protect them for a while, but could he protect them forever? Oh, it seems like you're threatening me. Yang Ming wasn't angry, but he laughed and looked at the Grand Elder playfully. So what if I am? The Grand Elder looked as if he had already won. He wanted Yang Ming to not interfere with the Dark Palace's business. Since you're threatening me, I might as well threaten you too. Yang Ming looked at the Grand Elder in disdain and said, if anything happens to Pengzhan, Wan, their children, and the people around them, the result will be very interesting. What do you mean? The Grand Elder froze. I forgot to tell you, I started out as an assassin. Yang Ming shrugged, if something happens to them, I'll go to the Dark Palace and Heavenly Dan sect. If nothing happens, I'll kill your disciples and elders for fun. And you, if you're not prepared, I might kill you too. You dare to go to our sect? The Grand Elder was shocked. He didn't expect Yang Ming to do this. Aren't you afraid of being surrounded by our masters? Whatever, what do you think you can do to me? Yang Ming curled his lips and looked at the Grand Elder in disdain. You have more people, do you think you can kill me? No way, right? I'm afraid you can't even hurt me. Even if you use tricks and put me in a cage or a cave, it's okay. I can come out as soon as I hit it, just like this. As Yang Ming spoke, he rushed directly to the commercial car at the entrance of the garbage dump. He slammed his body into it, and the car flew directly. It fell on the ground in the distance and turned into a pile of scrap iron. The disciple who was driving the car also died directly. The Grand Elder sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of cultivator could cultivate external martial arts to such an extent? That's why I said that I can go and leave as I please. If I'm in a good mood today, I'll rest for 2 days. Tomorrow, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll go and kill a few disciples and elders. I'll sneak attack you when you're cultivating or sleeping. TSK, I bet your sect will be wiped out soon, right? Yang Ming said indifferently. The Grand Elder's face turned green, but he had to admit that Yang Ming's threat really scared him. If Yang Ming really did that, he could guarantee that in less than a year, no one in the Dark Palace would be able to escape from his evil hands except for the Sky-class late-phase masters. Moreover, even those Sky-class masters would have to be careful to avoid being sneak-attacked when they were sleeping or cultivating. The Ninth Elder heard Yang Ming's words and was shocked. Don't. This hero, Big Brother, Senior, Master. Our Heavenly Pills sect won't be involved anymore. It has nothing to do with us. We won't marry Yiwan, either. Our Heavenly Pills sect will draw a clear line with the Dark Palace from now on. We won't contact them anymore, and we won't seek revenge or trouble them. Please, I'll leave now, okay? The Ninth Elder was scared. If this guy went to the Heavenly Pills sect, he'd be screwed. The Grand Elder was a bit angry at the Ninth Elder's words, but there was nothing he could do. He knew that this old thing would only protect himself, but he had to admit that Yang Ming was too ruthless. He'd blocked their lifeline. It's impossible for you to know where our sect is. Yiwan also wouldn't betray us. The Grand Elder knew Yiwan's character. He knew that even though she had cut ties with the sect, she still wouldn't betray the sect. This was the only chance she had. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'll ask around myself. I have a colleague who came from the ancient level. I'll ask him and he'll know where you are. Yang Ming said casually. The Grand Elder didn't expect Yang Ming to know other people from the ancient level. Her face was pale. Finally, like a deflated balloon, she had no choice but to compromise. Yes, he had to give in. This move of Yang Ming's was simply too ruthless. Although he couldn't protect Pengzhan and Yiwan all the time, if something happened to them, this guy would come to them and they wouldn't be able to guard against it. Alright, let's be frank. This is over. I have other things to do. I don't have time to waste with you. Yang Ming said. The Grand Elder looked at Yang Ming with an uncertain expression. Then, he looked at the Ninth Elder. This guy was obviously avoiding his eyes. The Grand Elder knew that the Dark Palace and the Heavenly Pills sect would break ties in the future. If that was the case, for the sake of the Dark Palace's future development. The Grand Elder decided to swallow the humiliation and turn his face faster than flipping the pages of a book. This young hero is too serious. Is this young hero's friend? Naturally, this old lady won't do anything to ruin their happiness. The Grand Elder smiled. As the saying goes, it's better to tear down 10 temples than to ruin a marriage. This old lady wishes them well. The Ninth Elder rolled his eyes. He had heard that the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace could be shameless for the sake of the sect, but he didn't expect him to be this shameless. Seeing that the situation was irreversible, he began to think about how to get the greatest benefits for the Dark Palace. This young Ming in front of him was young, but his strength wasn't weak. It could be described as heaven-defying. If he became a friend of the Dark Palace because of this, the Dark Palace's strength and status would rise. Yi was also somewhat speechless. However, her tightly hanging heart finally settled down. The Supreme Elder's words meant that she admitted defeat and showed weakness, and she had the intention of winning over Yang Ming. Even Yang Ming didn't know how to react. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone this shameless. This wasn't just shameless, it was shameless. This speed of change was miraculous. Yang Ming was completely speechless. Chapter 2288. That. Supreme Elder, you mean? Yang Ming was a little hesitant. He didn't want to hit a smiling face, so he didn't want to make sarcastic remarks. Since young hero has come forward, I can't be a bad person in vain, right? Then you can live with little Chu without worry. Supreme Elder said. Thank you Supreme Elder. Was surprised and happy, but she also knew that this was the result of Yang Ming's hard work. Otherwise, how could Supreme Elder be so easy to talk to? However, you are still a member of our Dark Knight Palace, don't forget this. Supreme Elder said with a smile. Moreover, when Dark Knight Palace is in trouble, I hope young hero can help us. After all, we are Er's family. Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This old woman was really shameless, how could she say such words? However, Yang Ming still nodded for Er's sake, and said, well, since the matter is settled, then you are Er's family. If you are in trouble, I can't just sit by and do nothing. I knew young hero wouldn't just sit by and do nothing. Supreme Elder said with a smile, what is young hero's name? Yang Ming. Yang Ming said lightly, but you don't need to investigate, I am really not an ancient level person. My strength was obtained through other coincidences and coincidences of cultivation. Beside me, there are a few similar friends. There are more? Supreme Elder and Ninth Elder took a deep breath. Yang Ming was already powerful enough as a monster, but there are more? Of course, Yang Ming was talking about Lu Yezi and Lin Dongfang. Lu Yezi had also taken Jin Gang Gu and the simplified version of Titan Gu. Although he was also invulnerable, he was not as strong as Yang Ming. According to the people around Yang Ming, the super Jin Gang Gu on Yang Ming was an existence that couldn't even be killed by nuclear weapons. As for Lu Yezi, he was only an ordinary Jin Gang Gu and had some weaknesses. Meanwhile, Lin Dongfang was much stronger. Not only did he have Jin Gang Gu, he also had the complete version of Vigor Divine Gu, but with these two combined, his defense was slightly weaker. The Herculean venomous worm couldn't display the legendary effect. But even so, it was invincible and invincible. Except for Yang Ming, it could still injure Lu Yezi. Then when the Dark Palace is in danger, I hope young hero Yang can help. After all, we are Er's family. If something happens, you won't just sit by and watch, right? The Supreme Elder shamelessly said, when the time comes, I will ask those masters to help together with young hero Yang. Yang Ming looked at Yi and Chu Pengzhan, smiled bitterly, and nodded, all right, since that's the case, let's bury the hatchet. This is good, I don't have to waste time killing people. The Supreme Elder was speechless. Did Yang Ming think that killing disciples and elders was a waste of time? However, with Yang Ming's skills, he was really invincible. No one dared to refute him. Then our Heavenly Pills sect. The ninth elder wondered if he could take this opportunity to get some benefits for the Heavenly Pills sect. What are you still standing here for? Get lost. Yang Ming frowned and glanced at the ninth elder. This old dog was quite happy to bark, but now he was scared and still wanted benefits. The ninth elder didn't expect Yang Ming to be so merciless. Go back and tell your young sect master that if he has any ideas about Yiwan, again, I will go up the mountain and kill you all. If I can kill you, I will. If I can't, I will leave. You can't do anything to me. Yang Ming said indifferently. All right. I will go back and tell the young sect master now. The ninth elder was helpless and prepared to leave dejectedly. A wise man submits to circumstances. He knew that he couldn't do anything to Yang Ming at this moment. The best choice was for the Heavenly Pills sect to not get involved in these things in the future and cut off all contact with the Dark Palace to avoid getting into trouble. As for Yang Ming, even the Supreme Elder of the Dark Palace couldn't do anything to him. Naturally, the masters of the Heavenly Pills sect couldn't do anything to him. Instead of angering Yang Ming and causing him to go to the Heavenly Pills sect, it was better to cut off all ties with Yang Ming as soon as possible. Scram! Yang Ming waved his hand and said impatiently. Young hero Yang. The Supreme Elder asked carefully. You can leave too. There's nothing for you to do here. Yang Ming looked at the Supreme Elder and said faintly, I don't like people who follow orders on the surface but go against them on the inside. If anything happens to Yiwan, or Chu Pengzhan, or their children, you should consider the consequences yourself. Yes. Seeing Yang Ming's serious expression, the Supreme Elder's heart skipped a beat. He quickly cupped his fist and said, Don't worry, young hero Yang. The Dark Palace won't trouble them anymore. But the other sects, like the Heavenly Pills sect. If there are other troubles, I will take care of them myself. Yang Ming humphed coldly. How could he not see through the Supreme Elder's thoughts? This old thing was very smart. She was afraid that the other sects would cause trouble for Chu Pengzhan and Yiwan, and then he would blame it on her. Therefore, she made a clear statement in advance. However, Yang Ming wasn't someone who couldn't tell right from wrong. He knew that the Supreme Elder couldn't control the other sects, so he didn't make things difficult for her. As for the Heavenly Pills sect, they probably wouldn't dare to cause trouble for them anymore. Chu Pengzhan and Yiwan only offended these two ancient sections. They wouldn't have any other enemies on the ancient level. As for the other levels, Lang Gu Jr. could handle it. There was no need for Yang Ming to do anything. Thank you for your understanding, young hero Yang. The Supreme Elder said, If that's the case, I will go back and report to my superiors. Wan, you stay here. After that, the Supreme Elder cupped her fist at Yang Ming again. She completely treated Yang Ming as her equal or even higher level. Then, she turned around and left. As for the broken commercial car and the unlucky disciple inside, the Supreme Elder naturally didn't care about them anymore. She didn't even collect Elder Chui's body. She was afraid that if she made Yang Ming unhappy, he would play some tricks again. In her eyes, the sect's interests were above everything else. She didn't care about the life and death of the other disciples and elders. If they were dead, why would she collect their bodies? As long as she didn't make Yang Ming angry and went home safely, everything would be fine. After the Supreme Elder left, Yang Ming said to Lang Gu Jr., Ask someone to deal with the bodies here. Then, we can go back. Yes, Brother Yang. Lang Gu Jr. nodded quickly. Chapter 2289. Lang Gu Jr. was very familiar with dealing with corpses. They often held underground car races and there were countless black racers who died in car accidents, so he naturally didn't care about a few corpses. He made a phone call and the people who left before came back. They quickly dragged Elder Chui's body and the car that was destroyed by Yang Ming. Lang Gu Jr. respectfully invited Yang Ming, Wan, and Chu Pengzhan into the Grand Cherokee he drove. Chu Pengzhan and Wan, only regained their senses after they got into the car. The scene just now was like a dream to them. Solved. Everything is solved. Not only the Supreme Elder, but even the Ninth Elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect listened to Yang Ming's threat. He immediately shriveled up like a frosted eggplant. He didn't dare to say a word. Thinking about Yang Ming's threat, Chu Pengzhan and Wan looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. However, they had to admit that Yang Ming's threat was the most effective. Think about it, who would dare to offend a master like Yang Ming who couldn't be killed? If he went to your sect and started a massacre, you wouldn't be able to do anything to him. If he swaggered away and came back after a while, what sect would be able to withstand it? In just a few times, this sect would be exterminated. Brother Yang, thank you. Chu Pengzhan said sincerely, I didn't expect that this time, we would be able to get out of this alive. Yeah, thank you, Brother Yang. I underestimated you before. I'm sorry. Wan thought about how she underestimated Yang Ming before and felt a little embarrassed. Hee, it doesn't matter. You advised me to leave before because it was for my own good. You didn't want me to get involved in this mess. But since I have the ability, and little Chu is a relative of my godfather and godmother, then he is like my younger brother. I will spare no effort to take care of him. When Yang Ming said this, it was from the bottom of his heart. Yang Ming's achievement today couldn't be separated from the help of a few people. There was Sun Xikong, Fang Tian and the most important person, Lu Weishan. It was Lu Weishan's kindness and selflessness that allowed Yang Ming to find his first pot of gold. It laid a solid foundation for his future success. Therefore, no matter which one of these three people was in trouble, Yang Ming would spare no effort to help. Yang Ming was a very emotional person. He would repay a drop of water with a spring. He was a very warm-hearted person, so naturally, he wouldn't reject. According to Fang Tian's words, Yang Ming was actually not suitable to be an assassin. However, if possible, he could go further and stand higher. Brother Yang, where are we going now? Lang Gu. Chu Pengzhan and Wan's Gu and Wan's and Wan's and Wan and Wan's and Wan's and Wan's. Ants Racing, Ants. Lang. I'm staying at the Douglas Grand Hotel. Yang Ming said, then let's go to your racing hotel first. I'm currently staying at the Douglas Grand Hotel, so it's fine. Okay, Brother Yang. Lang Gu nodded quickly. He was hoping for this. Yang Ming promised to treat him, but now that the matter was over, he couldn't take the initiative to mention it. Now that Yang Ming took the initiative to say it, Lang Gu was naturally very happy. Hee, don't worry. I won't break my promise to you, Yang Ming said lightly. Lang Gu returned to the racing hotel with Lang Gu. Lang Gu Sr. had already received the news and prepared a banquet. When Yang Ming and the other three arrived, they could start the banquet. Lang Gu Sr. was relieved when he heard that the previous incident was averted. At the same time, he was proud of himself for being able to ride on Yang Ming's thigh. Even those legendary martial arts masters were not Yang Ming's opponent. Who else could challenge Yang Ming? Mr. Yang, welcome, welcome. How have you been? Lang Gu Sr. walked over with a smile, looked at Yang Ming and greeted him respectfully. Lang Gu Sr., you look good. Have you been doing well recently? Yang Ming smiled. Thanks to Mr. Yang, we are doing well here. The Douglas family takes good care of us, and we have a lot of business dealings. Lang Gu Sr. said with a smile, but this huge family business in the future. Sigh. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. He knew that Lang Gu Jr. told Lang Gu Sr. that he was going to treat him, and Lang Gu Sr. was a little impatient. Hee, Lang Gu Sr., I understand what you mean. I'll check on Lang Gu Jr. in a while. Yang Ming said with a slight smile. That's really troublesome, Mr. Yang. Langus Sr. was a little embarrassed when Yang Ming saw through his thoughts. He laughed dryly and quickly invited Yang Ming into the hotel. Hee, it's no trouble. But we can only take a look first. I didn't bring the nerve-stimulating drug. If acupuncture doesn't work, I can only ask someone to send the drug over, Yang Ming said. Okay. Langus Sr. said yes repeatedly. After they went upstairs, they came to a super luxurious private room. The food and wine were already prepared. Pengzhan and Wan were very happy at the banquet. Langus Sr. and Langu Jr. were even happier, but Yang Ming's expression was very indifferent. Chu Pengzhan, why don't you give your godparents and your father a call? They're probably worried about you. Yang Ming reminded when he saw that Pengzhan was so happy that he forgot to tell his family the good news. Ah! Chu Pengzhan was stunned. Only then did he remember that he really forgot to report the good news to his family. He quickly picked up the phone and dialed his father's number. At this moment, Chu Sanhua was sitting in Lu Weishan's house with a worried face. Although Yang Ming had left for Las Vegas, his call with Chu Pengzhan wasn't very optimistic. He didn't even have time to tell him that Yang Ming was going to help him before the call was hung up. It was obvious that Chu Pengzhan was in trouble, so Chu Sanhua was very anxious. Sanhua, Yang Ming is a person who knows when to stop. Since he promised you, there will be no problem. Chu Huifang comforted. Yeah, uncle, I know brother Yang Ming. Moreover, his martial arts are enough to protect his younger brother and sister-in-law. There should be good news coming soon. Lu Tianqi was also very confident in Yang Ming. After all, they had lived and fought together. They experienced the more dangerous trip to Miaojiang. Not only did they survive safely, but Yang Ming also got a blessing in disguise. Yang Ming had the super version of Jin Gang Gu. It was definitely not a problem for him to protect himself. However, he didn't know if he could explain it clearly to the ancient people. Chapter 2290. As they were talking, third brother Chu's phone suddenly rang. Third brother Chu picked up the phone and saw the caller ID. He was excited and quickly picked up the call. Pengzhan, is that you? How are you? Are you okay? Dad, it's me. Chu Pengzhan was a little ashamed. He was too busy being happy that Yang Ming's reminder reminded him that his father was still worried about him. He quickly said, I'm fine. It's all thanks to Yang Ming bro. He arrived in time and solved the problem. Ah, it's solved? That's great. When Chu Sanhua heard that Yang Ming had solved the problem, he was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect that he really came to ask the right person for help this time. It was said that it was a big problem. He didn't expect Yang Ming to really solve it. Yeah, it'll be fine in the future. Wan-Er sect won't come looking for trouble anymore. Pengzhan said, we can go back to Songshan now, Mr. Yang Ming, you're really amazing. Sanhua said emotionally, if that's the case, I'm relieved. You guys must be busy right now. I won't ask about the details, we'll talk about it when we get back. Okay, Dad, we're eating now. I'll hang up first, Pengzhan said. After hanging up, Yang Ming continued eating while Sanhua let out a sigh of relief. Sis, brother-in-law, it seems that this Yang Ming is really not someone to be trifled with. I didn't expect the matter to be resolved so easily. Originally, I thought. I knew it. Big Ming promised you, so he should have some confidence. Look, it's solved, right? You don't have to worry anymore, right? Huifang smiled. Yeah, I don't have to worry anymore. I'm finally relieved. Sanhua nodded. This time, when they come back, I'll have to thank Mr. Yang properly. I'm willing to give up everything I have. There's no need to thank him. We're family, there's no need to be so formal. Aunt Shu waved her hand and said, Big Ming doesn't really want your property. Don't mention this again. Yes, big sister. Chu Sanhua seemed to be very afraid of Chu Huifang and quickly said. At the same time, he was secretly ashamed in his heart. It seemed that it was not a bad thing to have a good relationship with Yang Ming in the future. In the racing hotel, after Yang Ming and the others were full, Yang Ming brought Lang Ge Jr. to an empty room. Peng Zhan and Wan Er also gave them some time alone. Okay, take off your pants. I'll check for you, Yang Ming said. Here. Take off your pants? Lang Ge Jr. suddenly felt a little embarrassed. What's wrong? Are you embarrassed? Yang Ming said with a smile. That's not it. It just feels weird. Lang Ge Jr. said, why do I feel like we are gay? Get lost. Yang Ming glared at him. Are you going to treat him or not? Heel. Heel. Let's treat it now. Lang Ge Jr. was shocked and quickly took off his pants. Lie down. Yang Ming said. Lang Ge Jr. quickly lay down on the bed. In fact, Yang Ming felt strange in his heart. He was not a professional doctor. He always felt that it was a little inexplicable to treat this kind of illness. Unlike Shen Yushi, Lang Ge Jr. was a man. The treatment process was not ambiguous nor meaningful. However, since Yang Ming promised, he still carefully checked Lang Ge Jr.'s lower body. Although Yang Ming briefly looked at it before, he did not look at it carefully. At this time, he found that Lang Ge Jr.'s injury was not as serious as Yang Ming imagined. Lang Ge Jr. had also gone to many major international hospitals for treatment. Although these hospitals did not completely cure his illness, they did their best to help him recover by 70 to 80%. Now, there were only some blockages in his nerves and meridians. These situations could not be cured during surgery, but Yang Ming could help him heal through acupuncture. He didn't even need to use the kind of stimulating and nerve-repairing medicinal solution. Of course, this was also because Yang Ming had received the teachings of the generation's miracle doctor, Lin Dongfang. Otherwise, Yang Ming would really be helpless about Lang Ge Jr.'s current situation. But now, since he found the cause of the illness, Yang Ming naturally devoted himself to the treatment of Lang Ge Jr. With a slight shake of his right hand, a few silver needles flew into Lang Ge Jr.'s body. Yang Ming's method of recognizing acupoints was even better than Lin Dongfang's. After all, Yang Ming was the king of assassins and was good at flying needles. Therefore, acupuncture was just a change of method for Yang Ming. One was to kill, and the other was to save. See. Lang Ge Jr. was in so much pain that he broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't expect that a small silver needle could actually cause such a huge damage to him. Lang Ge Jr. had never thought of this before. He thought that this small needle would be like an intravenous drip in the hospital. It wouldn't hurt at all. However, Lang Ge Jr. was a man. No matter how painful it was, he still gritted his teeth. He didn't even make a sound. He only took a few deep breaths. This situation made Yang Ming admire him. This kid is not bad. The entire acupuncture process lasted for about half an hour. Although Lang Ge Jr. was in a lot of pain, Yang Ming was also very tired. Yang Ming had to adjust the position of the needle according to the time at any time. Therefore, Yang Ming was also very nervous during this half an hour. As Lang Ge Jr.'s pain gradually subsided, his face gradually showed a relieved expression. Yang Ming also knew that the treatment process was nearing its end. He pulled out the silver needles on Lang Ge Jr. one by one and said, "Okay, it's done." That's it? Lang Ge Jr. couldn't help but be stunned. He looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. He didn't expect that Yang Ming didn't operate on him or take any medicine. A few silver needles could help him get rid of his pain. Of course. If you don't believe me, you can try it later. Yang Ming smiled and didn't explain much. Anyway, Lang Ge Jr. would know whether this thing worked or not when he tried it later. It was meaningless for him to explain. I'll try it now. Lang Ge Jr. seemed a little impatient. He jumped up from the bed and wanted to go out. But he remembered that he hadn't worn his pants yet, so he quickly came back to put them on. You don't have to wear them. I'm going out. You can try it here. Yang Ming waved his hand and turned to leave the room. He believed that Lang Ge Sr. would soon send someone to help Lang Ge Jr. with the experiment. After leaving Lang Ge Jr.'s room, Yang Ming saw Lang Ge Sr. anxiously waiting outside the door. Seeing Yang Ming come out, Lang Ge Sr. quickly greeted him and asked, "Mr. Yang, how is it?" "My son." Chapter 2291. There should be no problem. He's looking for you. You can go and see him. Yang Ming nodded with a smile. Then. Thank you so much, Mr. Yang. Lang Ge Sr. didn't expect Yang Ming to cure Lang Ge Jr.'s illness in such a short time. Wasn't this speed too fast? However, he knew that Yang Ming was very good. He didn't suspect that Yang Ming was lying. After thanking him, he quickly pushed the door open and walked into Lang Ge Jr.'s room. Lang Ge Jr. was about to call Lang Ge Sr. and ask him to help find a better chick for him. This time, Lang Ge Sr. was a little scared after experiencing this incident. He wanted to find a better chick to try. If possible, he wanted to get pregnant and have a child to avoid any problems in the future. Lang Ge Sr. originally had this intention. After hearing Lang Ge Jr.'s words, he quickly went to do it. He couldn't wait to have a grandson. He couldn't do it himself. If Lang Ge Jr. only recovered for a while and left some sequelae in the future, it would be fucked. Therefore, this matter had to be done quickly. Yang Ming didn't pay much attention to Lang Ge Jr. and the others. He was confident in his medical skills. To be precise, he was confident in Lin Dongfang's medical skills. Yang Ming came to the door of Chu Pengzhan and Yi Wan-er's room and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" Chu Pengzhan's voice came from the room, but obviously, he saw Yang Ming's figure through the peephole. He quickly opened the door and said excitedly, "Brother Yang, you're here, and I just cured Lang Ge Jr. and came to see you," Yang Ming said. After all, Yang Ming's time was limited. Dong Jun hadn't contacted him yet, so he could still talk to them here. Once Dong Jun called, Yang Ming would have to leave. "Ah, it's cured? Brother Yang is really amazing." Chu Pengzhan sincerely admired. "I'm calling father, aunt, and uncle. Do you want to talk to them?" "Hee, you guys go ahead. I won't say anything else." Yang Ming waved his hand. He didn't want to take up their time to catch up with their families. "I just came to see you. Maybe I have something to do tomorrow, leaving so soon." Pengzhan was a little disappointed. He'd wanted to invite Yang Ming to play with them for a few days. Pengzhan and Wan had just escaped from danger and they had been in constant fear for the past few days. This kind of fear could only be understood by those who had experienced it. They were always worried that the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace would come to their door and they were always worried that Lang Ge would be implicated because of them. These days were not good. Even when he contacted his family, he was worried that the people from the Dark Palace would find him. Now, they finally got rid of these days. Pengzhan and Wan-er planned to have a good time in Las Vegas and treat it as a honeymoon. As for Yang Ming, their savior, they naturally wanted to invite him to play with them. However, they didn't expect that Yang Ming had other things to do. Maybe he would leave tomorrow. The problem is solved. "At least the people from the Dark Palace won't come to you guys anymore," Yang Ming said. "If I stay here, wouldn't I be disturbing the two of you?" "Brother Yang, you're joking. We can't wait for you to stay with us. We can also repay you for saving our lives," Chu Pengzhan said. "Yeah, Brother Yang, we, husband and wife, are really grateful to you." Yi Wan-er also ended the call with Chu Sanhua and walked over. "But I really do have something to do. It's not that I'm avoiding you." Yang Ming waved his hand. "There will be opportunities in the future. Since we're relatives, it's normal for us to keep in contact. If there's trouble, you don't have to be polite. Just ask me. Then. Okay. Wan knew that a powerful person like Yang Ming wouldn't be like them who had nothing to do every day. Besides, Chu Sanhua also said that Yang Ming came to Las Vegas because he had other important things to do. So she didn't ask him to stay, only saying, "Then Brother Yang, accompany me and Pengzhan for a chat. I'm curious about you. How are you so powerful?" Yang Ming's appearance completely overturned Wan Er's understanding of martial arts and cultivation. Although the sect she was in didn't get involved in the affairs of the secular world, she still had some understanding of the secular world. Those practitioners in the secular world, being able to reach the mystic class or even the golden class was already very impressive. Yang Ming's existence was almost above the sky class. It was rare even in the ancient sects, so Wan Er really wanted to know how Yang Ming trained. My martial arts are more random. There's no reference value or possibility of imitation. Yang Ming saw Wan Er's expression and knew what she was thinking. He smiled and said, "My martial arts suddenly became this powerful under a coincidence. In fact, I didn't give up anything." Inheritance? Wan Er was slightly stunned and thought of a possibility. That was the inheritance of martial arts. It was said that people with special physiques could, under a coincidence, obtain the inheritance of ancient ruins. And the inheritor's cultivation would soar like a rocket, without any arms or legs. Including her own palace of darkness, there was also an inheritance situation. It was just that Wan Er's blood wasn't very pure, so she didn't receive the inheritance and failed. So her first thought was that Yang Ming received the inheritance. Inheritance? Yang Ming was also stunned. Although Yang Ming didn't know what inheritance was, but from the words, it wasn't hard to understand. This was probably a way to quickly increase one's strength and quickly obtain martial arts. Thinking about it, his situation was a bit like an inheritance. At the last moment when Elder Yu exploded, he passed on the super version of the Jin Gang Gu to him, so he could be considered to have received Elder Yu's inheritance. Thinking up to this point, Yang Ming nodded and smiled. You can think of it that way, but it's not quite the same. Brother Yang, come in quickly. Wan, look at you talking, you forgot to ask Brother Yang to come in and sit. It's so impolite to stand at the door. Chu Pengzhan saw Yang Ming and Wan talking at the door and quickly said, "Ah. Sorry, I didn't think so much." Yi Wan stuck out her tongue. She was actually quite cute. She didn't look like someone who came from an ancient sect with strict rules at all. Yang Ming entered the room and Wan helped Yang Ming make tea. Yang Ming didn't hold back and took a sip. Chapter 2292. He had wasted a lot of energy to treat Lang Gu Jr. before, so he was a little thirsty now. After drinking a mouthful of water, Yang Ming said, "By the way, Yi Wan there is a question. It's not appropriate to mention it when we were eating, but I have always been curious. Since you are from the ancient sect, why weren't you Lang Gu Jr.'s opponent?" During the meal, because Lang Gu Jr. and Lang Gu Sr. were both present, Yang Ming couldn't ask about these old matters. It seemed like he deliberately mentioned it to beat Lang Gu Jr., so he could only ask in private when he was free after the meal. When Yang Ming set off from Songjiang City, he was a little puzzled by this question, but he didn't ask Chu Sanhua. After all, Chu Sanhua probably didn't know much about it, so Yang Ming prepared to ask Yi Wan directly. "Are you saying that I don't have strength?" Yi Wan smiled bitterly and said, "Actually, this is because I ran away from home without permission. Before I left, I was afraid that the people of the Dark Night Palace would find me, so I took a sealing pill to seal the qi in my body. In this way, within 5 years, the qi in my body will be sealed, and I will be no different from a normal person." "Oh. Isn't it better for you to run away and preserve your strength?" Yang Ming asked strangely and puzzledly, "If you don't have strength, you don't even have the ability to protect yourself, right? In our ancient sect, there are some people who are very sensitive to true qi fluctuations. Even if they hide their strength and don't use their true chi, they can still feel some subtle differences. The Grand Elder is such a person. She can feel the cultivators in a certain range around her. Even if the cultivator doesn't use their true chi, she can still use some methods to determine the cultivator's true strength. Of course, this is only limited to internal experts and experts who are weaker than her. Like Brother Yang, he should belong to external experts. She won't be able to detect it, so that's the case. Yang Ming nodded and thought that this was mysterious. However, thinking about it, even elder you can distinguish the aura of the people around me. It is impossible to sneak around him. This ancient sect is so mysterious. They must have some means. However, after hearing Wan Er's reply, Yang Ming was even more curious. If that's the case, then how did that old woman from the Dark Palace find you? You're already hiding overseas, but she can still determine your location. That's amazing. As for how to find me, that's because of another reason. No matter how much I calculated, I never would have thought that I have the Dark Phoenix bloodline unique to the Dark Knight Palace in my body. Although I couldn't obtain the inheritance, I could still use some methods to find me. Wan bitterly smiled. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have sealed my own strength. Before, I thought that there were no cultivators in the secular world, but now it seems that there are some hidden cultivators in the secular world. If Grand Elder wants to find me, it won't be that easy. 5 years. Is there no antidote? Yang Ming frowned and asked, since you're not afraid now, can't you release the seal earlier? If you recover your strength, it will be good for protecting yourself. The key was that Yang Ming couldn't always protect Pengzhan and Wan Yang Ming had to leave sooner or later to meet up with Dong Jun Wan. Having some strength was a good thing. No. Wan shook her head. Unless there is a very strong person who helps me circulate my chi to dissolve it, there is no other way. Moreover, it must be an inner sect expert, so Brother Yang, you don't have to worry about me. Yang Ming nodded. He was just saying. If there wasn't, then forget it. Anyway, as long as the Dark Palace didn't come looking for trouble, Pengzhan and Wan had little Langu to protect them. There shouldn't be any problems here. After returning to the country, with third brother Chu's ability, he should be able to protect them. Thinking up to this point, Yang Ming let out a sigh of relief. Yang Ming was a very loyal person. After knowing Pengzhan and Wan Er's identity, he couldn't just leave them alone. The two were now Yang Ming's younger brother and sister. Naturally, Yang Ming had to take care of them to the end. He wouldn't allow anything to happen to them. Then you two can play here for a while and go back to the country. After all, the trouble has been solved. You're not familiar with the people here, so it's not a long-term solution. Yang Ming said. Pengzhan and I just talked about it. We'll go back after the honeymoon, Wan said. That's good. I'm relieved. Yang Ming nodded. Okay, I won't disturb you too. I need to go back and rest. I haven't slept since I came from the country. I need to make up for it. Brother Yang, go quickly. Wan and Pengzhan were shocked and they heard Yang Ming say that he didn't rest after getting off the plane. They quickly said, rest quickly. Yang Ming nodded and went out of Pengzhan and Wan Er's room. However, as soon as he went out, he met Langu Sr. who was very excited. Mr. Yang, you're so amazing. Langu Sr. said excitedly. Langu Jr. has fully recovered. Now, we'll see the final result. If you can successfully make that girl pregnant, then you'll be the savior of our Langu family. There shouldn't be any problem. Yang Ming said calmly, but he was sweating in his heart. Langu Jr. was like this because of me, right? Now that I've cured him, it's only because of his pitiful attitude. I just did something normal, but Langu Sr. is so grateful. That's good, that's good. Langu Sr. said with a smile. By the way, I'm a little tired. Help me get a room. I'll sleep first. Yang Ming said, I just came here. The time difference is a bit messy. I haven't had time to rest yet, but I've been busy with so many things. Ah. Mr. Yang, you haven't rested yet. Then, treat Langgu Jr. It's really troublesome for you. Langgu Sr. said excitedly, by the way, you should go and rest quickly. I've already gotten a room. It's just opposite here. This is the room card. As Langgu Sr. said, he handed a room card to Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded and took the room card. He didn't say much and walked to the room Langgu Sr. pointed at. After entering the room, Yang Ming fell asleep immediately. Although this room was luxurious, it was just a place for Yang Ming to rest. Yang Ming wasn't interested in other things. Yang Ming slept very soundly, but he was finally woken up by the ringing of the phone. Hello. Yang Ming woke up suddenly and picked up the phone. Chapter 2293. Yang Ming, it's me, Dong Jun. Dong Jun's urgent voice came from the other side of the phone. Where are you? Should I come to you now? Ugh. How about this, you go to the Douglas Vast Hotel. I'm going there now. I've booked a room there. After you arrive, find Batterton directly and ask him to take you to my room to wait for me. I'll give him a call. Yang Ming thought about it and decided to let Dong Jun go to the Douglas Vast Hotel. After all, it was his territory, and this was the Langgu family's territory. Although Yang Ming was not afraid that the Langgu family would do anything treacherous, it was better for fewer people to know about Dong Jun's matter. Okay, I'll go now. Dong Jun hung up the phone after he finished speaking. As for Yang Ming, he dialed Batterton's phone and explained the matter to him. It was already past 11 o'clock at night, but for Batterton, who had a rich nightlife, he was not asleep yet. Of course, even if he was asleep, he did not dare to neglect Yang Ming's instructions. He remembered Yang Ming's instructions and hurriedly went downstairs to prepare to welcome Dong Jun. Yang Ming said goodbye to Langgu Sr., Langgu Jr., Chu Pengzhan, and Yuan, and hurriedly left the racing hotel. Although the four of them were a little regretful and reluctant, they had no choice. They knew that Yang Ming was going to do business, so they sent Yang Ming out of the hotel and went back. Yang Ming stopped a taxi and returned to the Douglas Vast Hotel in a low-key manner. Although Langgu Sr. could provide Yang Ming with a luxury car at the racing hotel, Yang Ming wanted to keep a low profile when he came to Las Vegas this time. Although he was very high profile in dealing with the Dark Knight Palace and the Heavenly Dan sect, that was only in front of a few people. After the matter was over, Yang Ming naturally would not act in a high-profile manner. He did not want to be targeted by Central's people when he just arrived in Las Vegas. After returning to the Douglas Vast Hotel, Yang Ming went straight to his room. Dong Jun was already waiting in the room. When he saw Yang Ming come in, he immediately stood up. Yang Ming, you're not slow. I just arrived and you're already back. There's no traffic jam here. The roads extend in all directions. I'm not far away, so naturally, I came here faster. Yang Ming said with a smile, how is it? Did you find any clues? Central and Dr. Benjamin are very secretive. Even though their base camp is here, I have contacted and inquired with some gang members here and nearby continents in private. They don't know that there is a very strong force nearby. Dong Jun said, it seems that they are very secretive. Even these local tyrants don't know about their existence. That's normal. Yang Ming nodded, but he was not surprised. Central and Dr. Benjamin do different things from these gangs. I guess they are not short of money. They are just researching some scientific inventions, so they have no interest or intersection with these local gang members. Yang Ming nodded, but he was not surprised. That's true. Dong Jun nodded. The Central doesn't lack money. As far as I know, there are two large consortiums behind the Central. One of them is in the hands of my sister, Alice. Of course, this consortium can betray us at any time. As for the other one, I don't know where it is, but it doesn't matter. As long as we destroy the Central, this consortium will be dispensable. We don't lack money. Have you found the specific location of Central? Yang Ming asked. I found it. From here, through a few small towns, we will reach Las Vegas Beach. There is a small island in the open sea that belongs to a private owner. That should be Central's base camp. Dong Jun said, of course, I just used the helicopter to investigate from a high altitude. I didn't dare to fly too close to avoid being discovered by Central and Dr. Benjamin. Central's scientific and technological power is very powerful. I was also afraid that I would attract their attention, so I just disguised as a tourist passing by the sea. What do you think? What is the next step of our plan? Yang Ming roughly understood the situation here, so he asked. Dr. Benjamin has realized that I have betrayed him, so it is not suitable for me to appear in public. Now there are two ways. One is that we hide at the dock where Central's people go ashore. We secretly investigate Central's people. It's best to catch one or two of them. Then we can learn about the situation of the island where Central is located from them. Dong Jun said, the other is to continue to take aerial photos by plane, but I won't show up. Let's hire someone to do this. The first method is good. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, as for the second method, the risk factor is too high. The people we find may be caught by Central's people at any time. It is easy to expose our goal and purpose. Moreover, the photos and information obtained from aerial photography are not necessarily accurate. Since Central is a place with advanced technology, it will definitely disguise the island on the surface. At least, it will make it look more like a harmless private island. Otherwise, do you think other forces nearby are vegetarians? Will they allow a private island that is suspected to be technologically advanced to continue to grow? The first method is indeed the simplest and fastest way, but there are also two flaws. One is that we may not be able to catch Central's people. Even if we catch them, we may not be able to get anything out of them. Dong Jun said, the other is that if Central's people go missing, will Dr. Benjamin be suspicious? Will he suspect us? It's not a problem to catch them. As for getting something out of them, even if one person can't get it out, can't 10 people get it out? Yang Ming smiled faintly and said indifferently, if we catch a few more people, we can get it out. Moreover, do you think that even if we don't catch Dr. Benjamin's people, he won't suspect us? He won't deal with us? This. Dong Jun's thinking mode hadn't changed yet. Since we know that Dr. Benjamin wants to deal with us, why don't we make the first move? Even if Dr. Benjamin knows, what can he do? What can he do to us? If we don't catch his people, will he let us go? Yang Ming said with a smile. That's true. Dong Jun nodded, then let's listen to you. Let's make the first move. Tomorrow, let's wait and see if we can catch a few Central's people. Yang Ming nodded, but in his heart, he was calculating the strength of the Central's people. Chapter 2294. If Yang Ming encountered those Iron Men again, he should not be afraid that they would attack him. If he wanted to find out their weakness, it was possible to kill them with one blow. But the key problem was that Yang Ming was afraid of those Iron Men, not Central's ultimate means. Perhaps, Central still had some unknown secret weapons hidden. These were what Yang Ming was afraid of. After all, in the face of those people from the ancient sects, Yang Ming was confident and had the confidence to challenge them. Because no matter what, they were all people, and they were all within the scope that Yang Ming could understand. But Central was a little scary. It was beyond the scope of normal people. Central studied technology, some technology beyond the scope of normal people's understanding. If Yang Ming didn't have this pair of magical glasses that could see through things, then he would definitely think that no matter how powerful technology was, how powerful could it be? Even those atomic bombs and nuclear weapons couldn't have any effect on Yang Ming's Jin Gang voodoo. But Yang Ming knew that Dr. Sun Sikong's science and technology had exceeded his understanding, and Dr. Benjamin's science and technology level was not inferior to his. This made Yang Ming somewhat uncertain. What if Dr. Benjamin had mastered some high-tech weapons or high-tech cyborgs? These things were unknown to young Ming. He was in the dark, so it was unwise to rashly clash with Dr. Benjamin. At present, the wisest way was to wait near the dock where Central came ashore, catch their people one by one, and find out some secrets about Central from them. Since Dr. Benjamin's people were caught, he would definitely not let it go. Yang Ming didn't expect him to come out personally to check it out. At least, the people sent would definitely be his most capable subordinates, and they would definitely be stronger, not weaker. In this way, Yang Ming could also understand the overall strength of Dr. Benjamin and Central one by one. If he had full confidence, Yang Ming would find a way to negotiate with Dr. Benjamin or initiate a life and death battle. Thinking of this, Yang Ming also made up his mind, I'm not sure if I'm being watched for the time being, but I guess there are definitely a lot of people watching you. At least, Dr. Benjamin must have expected that you would come to his nest to investigate, so the safest way now is for you and me to disguise ourselves. Otherwise, if we are targeted by Dr. Benjamin's people first, the follow-up things will be very troublesome. Disguise? Dong Jun was slightly stunned, but then he nodded in agreement. Yes, disguise is a good idea. If you and I were to act alone, it would not be a big deal, but if we were to act together, we would definitely attract some attention. But if you and I were to disguise ourselves, then there would be no problem. Two strangers together should not attract Dr. Benjamin's attention, but you and I are both Asians. This is a bit out of place here. Although Las Vegas is an international metropolis, and there are many Asians and Asians, it will always attract Dr. Benjamin's special attention. Oh, then I will disguise myself as a foreigner. Yang Ming smiled and said indifferently. Foreigner? Dong Jun smiled bitterly after listening to Yang Ming's words. How can it be so easy? Our Oriental face is very different from the Western face. Even if you disguise yourself, it is quite difficult to pretend to be a Westerner. Hee, you don't have to worry about this. Yang Ming said, I can disguise myself. It doesn't matter to you. Dr. Benjamin probably won't suspect that a combination of Oriental and Westerner will be the two of us. Oh. Dong Jun glanced at Yang Ming, hesitated, and then said, well, since you are so confident, then it's decided. You disguise yourself as a Westerner, and I will disguise myself as an Oriental. Then we will go to the pier on the beach of Las Vegas to wait. 2 hours later, Yang Ming became a veritable Westerner. Except for the shape of his head, Dong Jun couldn't find any fault with his face. If it weren't for Yang Ming's voice, Dong Jun would have thought that Yang Ming was a different person. You. Yang Ming, you really surprised me. You are like another person. You don't look like an Oriental at all. You look like a native Westerner here. Dong Jun looked at Yang Ming in shock. In fact, the matter of disguise was quite easy for Yang Ming. Yang Ming's glasses could actually disguise himself. He could almost change his appearance at will. Yang Ming turned on the TV in the inner room of the room, and then changed his appearance according to the images of a few foreigners. It was effortless. The reason why he waited for 2 hours was that Yang Ming was waiting for Dong Jun. Dong Jun's disguise couldn't be as easy as Yang Ming's, so Yang Ming slept first and then walked out of the room. Sure enough, Dong Jun had just completed his disguise. Although Dong Jun also looked like a different person, he still changed his appearance on the basis of the original face. It wasn't a random change. After all, the bones couldn't be changed, unlike Yang Ming who had a pair of high-tech magical glasses. Of course, if Yang Ming didn't know that the person in front of him was Dong Jun, and then reverse inferred from Dong Jun's appearance, he wouldn't think that the person in front of him was Dong Jun. After all, as the number one godly thief, Dong Jun often disguised himself, and Dong Jun's disguise technique was quite successful. Hee. Yang Ming smiled. I can't think about it with normal thinking. Then can you help me disguise myself like this? Dong Jun looked at Yang Ming's current appearance and was very tempted. If Yang Ming became like this, then could he also become like this? My is actually a special ability. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. At this time, he and Dong Jun were brothers in the trench, so he didn't deliberately hide these things. Didn't Dr. Benjamin ask you what special abilities I have? This disguise technique is one of them. It turns out to be like this. Dong Jun suddenly realized. Then Suya, she is the same. She also has this ability. Yang Ming said truthfully, so Dr. Benjamin has been looking for her, but he couldn't find her. Ah. After Dong Jun heard Yang Ming's words, he was shocked. However, it was only for a moment, and his face showed a look of understanding. He nodded as if he had solved a big question in his heart. Chapter 2295. I was wondering why Suya appeared by your side, but I couldn't find any records of her coming to Songjiang City. She didn't take a plane or a train, and she didn't even come from the highway. This is a bit strange. At first, I wondered if she appeared out of thin air, or if she had been staying in Songjiang City and never left. She left in a disguise. Yang Ming said, but your current appearance is fine. At least if I didn't deduce it carefully, I wouldn't recognize you as Dong Jun. That's good. Dong Jun nodded. Let's go out later and find a barber shop to get a new hairstyle to avoid suspicion. Yang Ming nodded and said, it's still early now. Let's take a break first. We will officially start tomorrow. Okay. Dong Jun seemed a little excited. Life or death, success or failure, depended on this move. If he could succeed, then he could become a real free man. How carefree and happy would it be to live in seclusion on Island X with his sister and Yang Ming? For a person who had been controlled by the Central for a long time, being able to regain his freedom was very important. Dong Jun dreamed of living such a life, but he also knew that he had to maintain a calm heart. The more critical the moment was, the more he couldn't be careless. Yang Ming stayed in a luxury suite. Yang Ming stayed in the inner room while Dong Jun stayed in the outer room. The two of them rested for a while. It was almost midnight. Yang Ming called Batterton and asked him to personally deliver some food. Then, he would buy some new clothes and send them over. Yang Ming still trusted him very much. As for the waiters, Yang Ming was afraid that they would be shocked after seeing the changed appearance of the people in the room. Then, they would leak the news. Although the possibility of Dr. Benjamin having contact with the hotel was slim, he had to be on guard. Batterton was naturally very happy to do this. He personally ran to the kitchen and urged the chef to make some very exquisite side dishes. Then, while the chef was cooking, he drove to the mall to buy a few sets of clothes and sent them to Yang Ming's room with the cooked food. However, the person who opened the door was not Yang Ming, but an unfamiliar Westerner. Batterton was stunned. You are? Batterton looked at Yang Ming strangely and asked. Let's talk inside, Yang Ming said calmly. Ah. Batterton heard Yang Ming's voice, but the person in front of him was not Yang Ming. He was shocked as if he had seen a ghost. He shuddered and asked subconsciously, You? Who are you? Who did you say I was? Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He glared at him and said helplessly, Hurry up and come in first. Hearing Yang Ming's reproachful voice, Batterton still entered Yang Ming's room although he was still a little bewildered. You are Mr. Yang Ming? Batterton looked at Yang Ming in front of him and asked with a strange expression. Yes. Next, I have to do some special missions, so I have to change my image. It's enough for you to know about this. Don't tell anyone, Yang Ming said to Batterton. Batterton finally breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Yang Ming admit it. He quickly nodded and said, Of course, I can't just tell anyone. Mr. Yang, the food is ready. Do you need me to do anything else? Also, help us get a fake ID according to our current appearances. Is that okay? Asked Yang Ming. Of course, it's not a problem. It's very simple. Batterton smiled and said, You don't have to find anyone else. Just find Langus Sr.'s people can do it. They organize underground racing and often use fake identities. Okay. Yang Ming nodded and asked Batterton to take a photo of the two people with his mobile phone. Then, he went to get a fake ID. I have sent the photo to Langus Sr. It will be done soon. Is there anything else? Asked Batterton. Not for the time being. I will contact you anytime if I have other things. Yang Ming said, that's it for the time being. We may have to leave here for a while, but on the surface, you'd better pretend that we are still staying in the hotel. I understand. Don't worry, Mr. Yang. I will deliver food every day. Batterton nodded and said. Yang Ming nodded. He wanted to create such an illusion to make it seem like he was still staying in the hotel. Even if Dr. Benjamin found this place, Dr. Benjamin would find out that Yang Ming and Dong Jun had been staying in the hotel and had never left. In this way, Yang Ming and Dong Jun could do a lot of things secretly. Okay, there's nothing else. You can go do your work, said Yang Ming waving his hand. Okay. Batterton nodded respectfully and left the room. Yang Ming and Dong Jun had a sumptuous dinner together and changed into the new clothes sent by Batterton. At this time, Batterton also sent 2 fake ID cards to Yang Ming. After that, the two of them left the room separately and left the Douglas Vast Hotel about an hour apart. There were many guests staying in the Douglas Vast Hotel now. Many of them came to participate in the International Jewelry Festival, and many guests visited each other. So, no one paid attention to Yang Ming and Dong Jun, 2 strangers, who suddenly appeared in the hotel. After all, they were leaving the hotel, not entering the hotel. The waiters only cared whether the people who entered the hotel were guests or guests of the hotel. If there was a new guest, they would tell him that there were no vacant rooms. However, they didn't pay much attention to the people who left the hotel. Therefore, Yang Ming and Dong Jun walked out of the hotel casually, and then met in a small street behind the Douglas Vast Hotel. No one paid attention. It went very smoothly, said Dong Jun. Okay, let's leave here, find a place to change our hairstyle, and then go directly to our destination, said Yang Ming. So, the two of them casually found a barber shop on the street and changed their hairstyles. After the two of them came out, they were almost completely different from their previous appearances. Yang Ming, are we leaving here now? Asked Dong Jun. Now, Yang Ming had become his backbone. It's not convenient to not have a means of transportation. Yang Ming didn't really want to take a taxi. After all, it was easy to leave clues behind. Hee, watch me. Dong Jun looked around and saw a somewhat shabby old Audi A6 parked at the entrance of an entertainment city. A few people with tattoos on their bodies who were obviously gang members got out of the car and walked into the entertainment city. Dong Jun smiled slightly. This is it. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.